sound advice. I quote, "Better it is to live alone. There's no fellowship with a fool. Live alone and do no evil. Be carefree like an elephant in the elephant forest." 6. A trained mind leads to happiness. The cornerstone of Buddhism is the practice of meditation. The goal of meditation is achieving freedom from the mind that has, generally, grown out of control. We are not our thoughts. However, we tend to identify ourselves with our thoughts, no matter how destructive they have become. When we can find relief of overthinking and be absent of any form of intellectual activity, we become present in the moment, unburdened and unencumbered by cravings and by the past or future. This is where happiness lies. I quote, "He who delights in subduing evil thoughts, who meditates on the impurities and is ever mindful, it is he who will make an end of craving and rend asunder Mara's fetter." 7. Short-term evil has long-term consequences. Many things we do don't bring about pain instantly. Indulging the senses, for example, may give us short-term pleasure without the immediate punishment of pain. Also, lies, deceit, manipulation, and even theft can lead to immediate pleasure or avoidance of pain. But in the long run, the consequences of evil will catch up to us. We may have become addicted, so our lives are dictated by uncontrolled cravings, or because of our lies and deceit, we have become untrustworthy, not only for the environment, but also for ourselves. The Buddhists believe in karma, which is the spiritual principle of cause and effect, and also in reincarnation. So if we don't face the consequences of our evil deeds in this life, it will happen in one of the next lives, which might manifest itself as a bad rebirth. I quote, "It may be well with the evildoer as long as the evil ripens not. But when it does ripen, then the evildoer sees the painful results of his evil deeds." End quote. All in all, according to Buddhism, you reap what you sow. So to wrap it up, let's summarize the Buddhist wisdom for inner peace, as explained in this video. Attachment leads to suffering. Desiring the right things, pursuing sensual pleasures leads to suffering. From misery grows beauty. Good company is important. A trained mind leads to happiness, and short-term evil has long-term consequences. Please mind that the presented quotes come directly from the Dhammapada and are backed up by my own interpretations and what I've learned by studying Buddhism. There are many Buddhist scriptures to study besides the Dhammapada if you're interested. That's it. If you know more Buddhist wisdom that you want to share, please put it in the comment section. Thank you for watching.
The government is a figment of your imagination. It's an artificial, intelligent overlay. It is only a concept. It's a play. It's a performance. It's an act. They love when I have to fucking go off. I can look at something from a few different sides, and I can see where it all connects, despite what they're telling me. Right? They just look at what they're told. I look at what makes sense. You know, they'll say I'm doing word salad. They'll say that I'm just going off on my own tangent, but that is because my mind works in a different way than the majority of slaves. You guys are all in your feelers and never see the logic behind life, how it all moves together and fits together and how it works. So when you learn to check your feelers and move them out of the way and just observe with clarity and presence and awareness, you will make the right determinations and the right decisions. It's all the same shit over and over again. And no matter how much I speak on self-empowerment, self-mastery, self-reflection, you all have a belief and a feeling that's going to trump that. Ancient wisdom that works for everybody who embodies the path. You're not your own God. I know you want to be, but you're not. As soon as you get in line with what that thing wants from you or what is, you'll stop having these fucking problems. I view all the rest of this shit as a distraction. Governance is an act and a play, and it requires your belief and participation. The culture, the society, the legal system, the legal society, policy, statute, and code is the original artificial intelligence and state of consciousness that has been overlaid on the NI. And that's why you have domesticated slaves and you have uncivilized men like myself. You don't want to accept that there's an objective morality that exists in this realm that every man and woman can comprehend using objective logic. It's not about wanting the fame and the riches. It's about being good at what you do, being recognized for it, and then when you get to the dance, telling all the people to suck your dick in public and leave because you never wanted to bond with them anyway. That's the whole point of being true to yourself, is so that wherever you get to that you're meant to go, you don't have to change that. Quite the opposite. That's what got you there. I got a direct link to that spirit and to the people who chipped you in. You can't get in between that. That's beyond worldly power. That's where you go beyond the ceiling that they don't want you to go beyond. That's the stage of inspiration and empowerment. They can't control you no more. They can't influence you no more. They can't put fear on you and things around you to stop you from being who and what you're meant to be. That's the game for me. That's the game for all of us, I thought. Actualized and realized. Written on our heart, first and foremost, through common sense, that if not overlaid with some dogma and indoctrination, we could all communicate harmoniously. Right? So I'm never going to accept, unless my perspective completely changes, that there isn't an objective morality here that can be hit as a standard and understood by any being with the capacity of objective logic, understanding right from wrong. Okay? So you just want to say statute, policy, and code is law, and the law is the law, even though they're making it up and revising it constantly. And it's not always in line with objective right from wrong. So you're completely misunderstood. You guys talk from feelers. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Your etymology is never sound because you don't care to look into the words and terms. This should not be that difficult. But for beings who lost the ability to imagine, I'm sure that it's quite the Herculean task. You should be able to zoom out and see all the connections and how it relates. You can't do that. You have no business speaking to someone else who can. There is no selfless component to you folks' consciousness. And it's evident because you constantly project onto others how selfish you think they are, because you don't think that that state of consciousness is attainable. Embarrassing.
Man, powerful intro. Some might say even angry. Brian O'Shea here. Let's just go ahead right into it. Let's not make these folks wait. They've been patient enough in their life. Brian O'Shea is still living in his car. It's a patient man, much like myself. We're homeless into our 30s and almost 50s, technically. I mean, I'm in a cabin right now and it's being rented, but we're going back to the land, Brian O'Shea. That's the important thing. I'm going back to the Dust Bowl, the first of two properties. I'd like to go back up to that pine forest that I have video of. Oh, there's Brian O'Shea. He went from the back alley to a tree. What is there, a park near you? They have one tree on Denver. Oh, you're still that man. He's okay. So you're still back there in that alley. You just switched views and got a view of a tree. But yeah, I like that original property that some folks have seen on the original Paul Enslaved channel. They took content down last night and non-struck it. They're back to their old ways because the Bryan bump, I can't get over that 22,000 mark. So it was back down to 21,800, and then after Bryan covering me the last week, it went up to 22,000, and now it's 21,950. And they're taking shit off the channel, going, "We didn't think you knew this, but you did misinformation again. So we're taking down your last broadcast. We're not going to strike you right now, but it's constant with them. As soon as I start populating that Paul Enslaved channel and putting content on there again, they start fucking with it, telling me you can't demonetize. I know you already demonetized the channel, so I get that I can't monetize individual videos, but they got to send me a notice. Constant fucking games with them over there, but we've been pretty decent over here. So thank the Lord for small favors. Back to the Dust Bowl. I prefer to be in the forest, but it is what it is. I'm going with what's convenient and easy. The man down there, I'm not going to give the location because he asked me not to, and I probably wouldn't have anyway. There's a man in the back who extended me an offer on Arizona. So you know what? Fuck it. If DeCastro and the rest of them are going to hardcore grift for slavery, and genocide and just to make money, I'm going to go ahead and take a page out of their book because I never asked for anything here. Oftentimes there's opportunities out there, and because I don't ask, I'm sure they go overlooked. Also, I've learned that you don't have to ask all the time because what God has meant for you seems to come forward. So I'm just going to put it out there before we get to Bryan O'Shea. He just shut his camera off. He's probably frustrated with me because I went to him and then kept talking. That's annoying. Hey, my broadcast, I can do whatever I want. Nanny boo boo. So yeah, I'm going to put it out there. If anybody's on Arizona and they want to interact with the White Gorilla, or maybe come to an agreement, if you got some property that's inhabitable, hospitable on some level, fairly decent, fairly removed from the slavery, But I'm open to like all offers at this point. Go ahead and email me. It's right down there. I'll screen you. I'll see how insane you are. I'll see how able you are to put up with my insanity. It's like a back and forth process there, right? And then we'll see where that goes. Because again, asking ye shall receive is what the scripture says. And obviously they tell me I have egotistical narcissism, pride issues. That stems from my trauma, my broken home, and my various insecurities. One of them being that seemingly most of my life, I couldn't trust anyone around me to not be a coward or a liar, if that makes sense. Hey, I was one of them. So what you put out, I guess, is what you get back. We're learning, we're growing, we're moving, and we're updating the program. Hey, not everyone out there is looking to fuck you. Not everyone out there is looking to lie, cheat, and steal from you. There are good people in this realm, right? Especially if you become one. The more you become one, the more you draw in others. Oddly enough, it would seem. So I'm learning, guys. Guys, it's a process. We come here every day. We're working on it. So let's bring him in, Hefe. Go ahead, Bryan O'Shea, and then we'll get over to Hefe. We got a network going here, a loosely knit network, non-network of regular men and women who are just wanting to live on the land, live free, right? Live honorably, be presentable, and not accept less for themselves and each other if possible. What an idea, huh? Bryan O'Shea, do you have anything as far as your experience on Denver lately? I think we're all kind of like wondering when's the next time policy enforcement's going to stop Bryan O'Shea and try to take his urine jugs, try to charge him with some commercial code nonsense. None of that. We're still good to go.
Yeah, I mean, it seems, I don't know what they're doing here in Denver, man. I don't know if they're pulling anyone over. I don't know if they're doing any police activity. They are not fucking with me at all, dude. In Denver proper, as I say. As long as I made a little task to grab it, map boundary. As long as that address says Denver, and I'm in it, dude.
Because we put it on the map. We put Denver on the map. They can't, at some point, you can't stop an idea whose time has come. And once that's, on the radar, it's a lot harder to roll that back than it is to just go with the flow. So I've explained it to folks. Again, I'm no rocket surgeon, as Kevin says. I don't have a degree, but I consider myself to be fairly intelligent and perceptive. And I've surveyed the scene, and I've come to my conclusion that the only way out of this is through this, right? Some folks are going to have to do this work, ignore codes, right? Not delete laws, ignore codes, and potentially get arrested and have to go to court over and over again. Dave's on Denver as well. There's a network of folks on Denver, right, who I met at some point through the video and through this, kind of just gave way to meeting a group of folks who were like, yeah, we're going to do this. And they've been continuing quietly behind the scenes. They're not as rude, crude, lewd, abrasive, obnoxious, egotistical, narcissistic as myself, but they're equally, if not more, activated, right? In truth and principles and values and rights and all that good stuff that we talk about here, all the able words. So behind the scenes, and I brought Dave on here in the past, him, some women, other folks, really active on Denver and Colorado because, I and others inspired them. And then they inspire me. And then I inspire them. And it's a back and forth process. That's a beautiful thing. They tell me that I have superiority complex. I've started to accept that most folks have inferiority complex. They really don't value themselves and their life and their rights and other people doing this walk. And they really don't get inspired by themselves and each other, right? You should be inspiring yourself and other people. And then those people inspire themselves and other people, including you back. That's a good community. That's good relationship. That's good networking as far as I'm concerned. Mr. Hefe, do you have anything? I always occupy the position of feeling burdened here and like I need to talk and be seen and heard, and then also wanting other people to have that experience. So do you have anything that you want to get into?
I was just gonna say the property is it's 37 acres. It's in the Concho area, and it's totally paid for. So it's still technically statutory right now. So it would need to be gifted, basically, right? Gifted to a trust.
Right. Do you have any trees on that property?
Yeah, it's covered in trees. It's a
Okay,
juniper
cool.
Region.
The juniper pines. That's where I came from originally. Up there, there's still property up there, but it's like fucking 20 miles up a mountain, dirt road. It's a bit of a hike and some over and unders to get there. So,
basically spent the entire winter searching out the area, and this property is about a half a mile of dirt road off of paved highway. So it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, not too bad. We'll talk more about that. If nothing else, I may come out there just to check it out. So just to be direct with you, you're not going to like do anything to me. You're not going to take anything from me. You don't need anything from me, right? Like
mutually beneficial. That's that's how contracts work.
Right, but not mutually beneficial in the sense of how Shaitan usually brings me benefit and lessons. Pain and loss. I mean, I'm open to it. If that's what I'm meant for and what I need, I'm always open to it. But just wondering what the conscious intention is here.
If you're going to be, a neighbor, then I would require respect, and I prioritize peace and privacy, basically. So that would be the big part of in the agreement that I would come to with somebody who wants to come and share the land.
All right. Now you understand that my peace and respect at times comes in the form of like multiple gunshots, kind of just testing out various pieces of property, target shooting, stuff like this.
Sure. Yes, I'll be joining you with that.
Okay. So, I mean, everyone has a different love language or peace language, and I've learned that. Just recently they taught me that. Hey, everyone else's idea of peace around here is not letting off sidearms, apparently. So, okay, that's good. All right, I'm in theoretically, conceptually, metaphysically. I'm in.
Cool.
I'm going to talk more with you privately. I may even entertain uncharacteristically taking a ride down there with some of my people, and putting a look, putting some eyes on it, seeing what you got going on there, if nothing else. And then if I'm moved, and we're moved together to move forward and make some agreement, hey man, sky's the limit. If not, at some point we shake hands, we go our separate ways, we keep it moving. I don't want any, I'm sure you nor I want any excess issues, problems, impediments to us, flowing and living freely and moving forward with our lives. So easier said than done, though, oftentimes. But I have faith that folks from this community, non-munity, are all somewhat oriented the same way, where we don't like complaining. We don't like bringing up our fellow man on charges. We don't like having to go to court. It's a bunch of fucking nonsense. In life, we should be able to figure things out and come to reconciliation and resolution if we're being centered and balanced and level-headed and reasonable. And I guess that's a big if a lot of times, but hey, it's a practice. We're working on it. Anything else, Mr. Hefe, or anything similar? I don't want to, move you along unnecessarily.
Yeah, the neighbors out there are at least in the same line of thinking as this kind of community. They carry weapons. One of them has a cannon he fires off occasionally, so you're going to be pretty good there.
Right.
As far as that.
Well, yeah, that's Americana, right? I mean, let's not scare anyone out there. Like, oh, someone has a cannon, they might fire it off. Like, this is Americana, right? Like, we're loving, caring people. We want to be good or great in our life and do good or great things, not cause loss, injury, and harm, and pay our debts if we create them, God forbid. So, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with gods and, God, guns. And what's the other one? Gold, I guess. There's, yeah, God, guns, and glory. Glory is fleeting, obscurity is forever. Go ask the average voting slave. Yeah, man. All right, I'm getting a good vibe so far.
I got a shipping.
You're not like an audiologist / agent, are you?
Oh yeah, I'm an agent. My brother is actually a federal prosecutor. Respect him because I invited you before I haven't even talked to him. He doesn't even know I own the land. So
this is the world we live in, where this guy's inviting me to share his land before his own brother because he already knows where it goes. This is what's fascinating, right? They already know. And it's disheartening and sad on one level, but it's revealing of higher purpose, higher order, and higher meaning, right? Blood is not always thicker than the waters of creation, if you will. Bryan O'Shea, please, could you keep your crotch out of the fucking this guy? Act like you've been here before, right? Yeah, man, that's just the way that it is. Oftentimes, we find more network connection, resonance in places like this for higher order values and purpose and meaning and principles than we do close to home. And as much as we'd like that to be different, it's just not the way that it is. But we have faith that at some point these folks will come round like a donut. They'll start to get it.
I don't think my brother's gonna figure it out. He's vaxxed up.
Whoa.
There's no hope for him.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes. Nobody's ever hopeless or irredeemable, but at some point you gotta check the record and see where we're at. It's like ninth inning, bases loaded.
If he wants to come through here, come at an even playing field and kind of say, "Hey, sorry that I blew you off all these years and didn't listen to anything you said." I just don't understand how he went through law school, and he's been a prosecutor for the state before he was federal. Since he graduated law school in 2009, so it's been a while, and he just has no idea about any of this, or he denies it. Last thing he said.
Yeah, they pretty much shut themselves off to the otherworldly and to their own conscience, right? In order to be in the world and of it. There's no more example. I mean, I'm not demeaning these folks necessarily. I'm just calling it as I see it. The duality. We almost need it to be that way for this to work, it would seem, as scary as that is. But there is no more evidenced position of worldly Babylonian ways than being a prosecutor for a state of entity and thinking that it's the land and the people and that you're part of the lawful government of this land. You couldn't be any more duped, deceived, divided, detracting, disenchanted, disenfranchised, subversive. I could go on with adjectives.
Because 6 years apart, and we grew up in the same house during the same time period. And even as a kid, he was actually more rebellious. Like when he first got a car, we would go out at night. He'd take me in his car. I was 6 years younger, so 10. But we'd we'd leave and we'd go do hood rat shit. So as kids. And then as he gets older, he starts becoming more and more embedded in the system, loving his servitude. And now he's to the point where I can't even talk to him about any of this stuff.
Well, this is the thing, right? Is a lot of us, we start off, like you say, doing the hood rat shit, which is evidence of our rebelling from God's law that comes down and becomes perverted by the world's law. So we rebel against the world intuitively and we become criminal. and then you have a walk back under the father as the prodigal son, if you want to call it that. The problem is you now have folks who are criminally minded and hearted who've not had a change of heart and mind, who've now circled back to try to be in the world and of it rather than be on the other side of things, right? So again, this is to me a testament to the poisoning of the well of spirituality through religion, and folks early on in their life intuitively be rebelling against the institutions in the world, and for good reason. The problem is if they don't have a guide, either spiritually or physically, to bring them back under the law of God, well, then they just become criminally minded folks who are able to do criminality, but do it under the banner of legality and acceptance, right? So they're able to still live in their shaitan-like way, you know, the horned goat rebelling, going its own way, ironically being herded back into being an individual, non-individual pawn of the system. So in these people's mind, they're like, yeah, I got over on everyone because I get to keep my rebellious, criminally minded and hearted nature, and get to work for myself while being accepted by the state, right? Because these people fashion themselves as like their own businessmen. They have their own practices. They work for and with the state, but it's like all them. You know, it's like my mind and heart, my performance at the court. They're just completely disempowered and deceived. You know, so again, folks like us who we've always been good-hearted, we've always had intuition, we've rebelled against the world and its institution for obvious reasons. We're brought back by the universe under God's law to serve a more true and good purpose here. You know, what we're meant to be doing, right? And again, we couldn't have that story, like every great story and movie, without the protagonist, I guess you would say, if that's the correct terminology, right? Like every Batman needs its Joker, which is kind of a dark reflection of self, you know. In these people's mind, I guess you can argue both sides are a bit insane in a way, or delusional. You know, it's like that's what we would say to each other, right? Like, Batman, you're so silly. You think that Gotham City's ever going to become anything than what it's always been? What's the point of standing for virtue? What's the point of standing for what's right? Why do you keep spending all your time, energy, attention trying to save these slaves from themselves and what they create? And it's like, no, you don't get it, dude. In order for me to be who and what I am, I have to live that way. The alternative is I become like you, and I don't want to live that way anymore. You know, so we don't even have to have closure or resolution completely or results completely. We just have to understand why we do what it is that we do, right? A man who has a why can endure almost any how, if that makes sense. So, Mr. O'Shea, do you have anything to add on to whatever it is that's going on here right now? A free exchange of energy?
Sounds awesome, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm just in a weird spot where I feel like I'm getting closer to getting a gun. So I got all these feelings, bro. It's kind of, I guess that's what's in the back of my mind.
What's your deal, bro? What's your deal? You really this untrusting of yourself and your conscience and what God's given you?
I don't know. It's probably an indoctrination. Guns are bad. Guns are fucking, you get arrested. You go to jail.
Okay, but that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to tell anyone else how to live. I mean, maybe not carrying a gun. You know, you ask a lot of these Santeria folks, they'll say certain folks have a karma and they shouldn't carry a gun because they're here to learn to live in faith. And if you put faith in that tool, you'll take faith away from yourself and God. I can't tell you how to live. But again, to live in fear and be untrusting or feel untrustworthy because you have a tool that's meant to potentially save your life or someone else's if necessary. If not, then you don't ever pick it up. You know, that's the bottom line here. You know, online we like to play little fucking games from time to time and, you know, put on and do all the nonsense. But ultimately, in my life, you know, I never pick up a gun or go for a gun unless potentially I'm being threatened, you know, with loss or harm to a certain degree, especially in certain environment. You know, it could go either way, man. But again, this just comes back to what I've noticed from you, like a lot of us. You know, you have self-doubt. You have lack of trust and faith in yourself and what's meant for you, you know, or what's available for you. Seems you second guess yourself in life. And I mean, that's good. It's probably better to be someone who questions yourself at times than someone who just arrogantly goes along in life, never doing that. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, how do you become more comfortable being yourself, being a man, being American? You know, you're a bad person. You can't be trusted because you have protection. I'm sure you've never gone, you know, to get a gun or wanted to go get a gun to harm somebody. You know, if they've not done anything to you, you don't have that pattern, that history. So what's there not to believe in or trust?
If I had a gun before, yeah, it was just for protection. If I like, yeah, it wasn't like, even though I was like, I'm going to walk in this area where I might find someone, but it was just like, I wasn't going to try to like instigate anything. Just more of a
right. We're grown men at this point. You know, where do you go? What do? You go to the store, you go back to your area. You know, you don't bother anybody. Nobody really bothers you. So at the end of the day, it's like, oh, someone stopped me and arrested. I have a gun on me. Yeah, it's a right. I have a right under God to protect myself. You know, and this is the other thing too, right? You're going to stay on Denver or wherever else. They're going to try to tell you that in the city and county and state of three illusions that they're going to try to make very real for you through enforcement and physicality, you can't have a gun at all unless you have concealed carry permit. So you got to decide how to navigate that. Again, you know where I stand on that nonsense. How are our servants going to have more rights and abilities than we have? How are our servants going to license lawful activity? How are our servants going to charge us to buy back our rights? This is insanity. So I'm really not interested what the fuck they say. I'm really not interested what they've put forth on paper. It's antithetical to reasoning and common sense and common law as far as I'm concerned. And it has no legitimacy and no merit. The Constitution says that any law, legislation, code, policy, anything essentially that is not commensurate with the spirit of the law, which is like in everyone's conscience, it's common fucking sense if you're not completely indoctrinated, can be ignored. That's been ruled on over and over again by the Supreme Court, the law of the land for the slaves in uniform, not for me. Supreme Court is not my governing body. They govern the people in uniform and corporations. So, yeah, man, this is what activism is from the beginning of time, is a group of psychopaths and sociopaths, some might say, I won't say that officially, sit around and write up a bunch of codifications and pervert the law more and more, twist it more and more away from its origination point of conscience to a place where you don't even know yourselves and each other and what this fucking land is anymore, which way's up, down, left, right, what's wrong. It's insanity. So at some point, we all have to come back to, fuck it. It's all nonsense. It's just my perspective. It's all bullshit. It's all nonsense. We got a conscience for a reason. We're going to use that. And it doesn't matter where it goes. Because ultimately, if you don't live that way, you're living antithetical to living in conscience, which means you're somebody else's fucking slave already. A man who will not consider his own conscience to decide with his moral compass that God put there what's right and wrong is already a kept pet slave and valueless and worthless under God because he refuses to use God's free will and free choice and conscience that he's been given. That's just the way that it is. I can't see it any other way. A man who refuses to care and use his own conscience ceases to be a man, ceases to be a human being. You're property. You're an animal. You're a slave already. And that's why they're treating everybody the way they do at court, because they know the same fucking thing that I do is empirically true based under the law of God on some level. If you want to call it conscience or common sense, I'll accept that to avoid the religious language. Because guess what? I don't like the term God, and most folks don't like it. It's been bastardized, it's been twisted, it's been perverted, like everything else here. So when I say God, I'm talking about an understanding and an experience, first and foremost, beyond some anthropomorphized worship deity in the sky. You know, if anything, we are the incarnation and the reflections of that. If we're not that completely, we are divine, right? Of the vine. We extend off of that beingness and that consciousness. So we are one with it. I am in the Father as it is in me, quote unquote. Right? So you got to come to that determination like we all do, Brian O'Shea. And I'm talking to people out there as well. Statute, policy, and code shouldn't matter to you. You're not a part of the legal society. unless you believe you are, or unless you've taken out contracts to follow that. If you have, you're already a pet slave. You're not an American. This is what I have to tell DeCastro and the rest of them. You guys aren't Americans because you think that a man on this land has to go ask permission from his servants to engage in his rights and pay for it. Do you understand what the implication of that is spiritually? I don't think that you do. You've completely blasphemed and rebuked the God of creation and the law of God to follow man's perverted and corrupt, twisted rules. That is the definition of Babylon. It's archetypal, and you will be judged for it. If not objectively, externally, internally by your own conscience. It's why many of you run the opposite direction from these kind of monologues, because you already know deep inside of your beingness what the fuck I'm saying is true, and you have for the longest time, and you're just not willing to do or be anything different. That's your cowardice and lack of faith and lack of adherence to the truth and what's correct. Not a good way to live. Go ahead, Brian O'Shea. I'm preaching again. More that I do this broadcast, I just lapse into monologues and I start preaching, non-preaching, because I'm living my information. That's not a preacher. What is that? They say it's a teacher. No. Activist, Brian O'Shea? What's the entitlement? Give me an entitlement today. Auditor. That's my title for today. I'm an auditor. Okay. Well, I live my information like Joe Kool and the rest of them on some level. Have face here again. Tennessee accountabilities. What now?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying, I thought I ran Hefe off, but this is me being insecure. But what were you talking about? Go ahead.
That's you. You're known for that. We're all known for that here, huh? I mean, listen, when you live a life of friends and family and coworkers constantly demeaning you, lying to you, gaslighting you that you're crazy, beating you up, putting you on drugs, sending you off to cages for being insane all your life, it might make sense why you have some trust issues from time to time. Might make sense why maybe you got like this creeping and lurking insecurity within you, around you. You know, not to say we're making excuses for something we should probably work through. It's a process. But it's not kind of hard to tell why it's existing within us and around us. I mean, look at what's just happened recently. We're now all being gaslit online and everywhere else that we're crazy and retarded and don't know about firearms because we don't believe Donnie took a 223 through the ear. You know, this is where we're at. So, yeah, part of you's like, no, I'm competent. I'm capable. I have a certain level of common fucking sense. I'm not retarded. And then everyone around you goes, you're retarded if you don't believe the ear shot theory. You're retarded if you don't believe JFK was killed by one guy, Oswald, and that the wife wasn't picking up the skull off the... You believe they tell me this crap? The guy yesterday gets in an argument with me on Slave Book. Why still go on there? Who knows? I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm a sick person. I'm a masochist, sadist on some level. Because I go there knowing what I'm going to get every time. Arguments with retarded people who think I'm retarded. So they go, oh, you're denying the fact that it's mainline history and news that Jacqueline Kennedy, while being shot at into the car by multiple snipers, allegedly, she decided to pick up John Kennedy's brains off the back of the convertible. That's not real life. No one does that. I don't even care what she said after the fact, because again, as if anybody's not able to be gotten to or have their words twisted. Let's not get into Princess Diana. You don't want to go down that deep, dark hole, do you, with me, Mr. Theorist that I am? So yeah, they'll sit there with a straight face and go, look, I just went on Wikipedia and it says right here, Jacqueline Kennedy was hanging off the back of the car, what seemed to the rest of us trying to get the fuck out of the car and get away from the shots and the shooting. That's not what was happening. She was collecting the brains of John Kennedy for the museum they would start later. Like, what are you saying? No one does that. That's not how instincts work. When you're getting shot at, you run. You don't have conscious presence of mind to start collecting your husband's skull fragments off the back of the car. Okay? There's no point. He's dead at that point. I think even a woman, you know, these women, let's really trigger here like they like to do. Women are really stupid and unfunny and bad at everything, or at least compared to men, right? So like, you know, so these stupid women who don't know anything definitely aren't while being shot at, because I'm a man and I wouldn't think of doing that. Like, well, like Brian O'Shea, could you give me a back and to the left real quick? Like, I'm riding along, we're sitting next to Bryan O'Shea, and then back and to the left. They just blew his fucking brains out, back and to the left. It's not going to occur to me right now to go on the back of the convertible and start picking up bone fragments and brain matter. Why would I? He's already fucking dead. You know, even emotional, stupid women who are way less than men everywhere, just objectively. I'm really triggering hard today. I don't care. I'm on one today. I'm on one every day. Let's be real about it. Yeah, no one's doing that. Okay. I'm not doing it. Men are not doing it. Women are not doing it. She was running away from the bullets, as she should have been, because she's a woman. She doesn't have a gun. She's unarmed. She's being shot at by a bunch of toxic males who desperately want control and power games. And she's like, oh my God, it's happening again. I'm in a hell surrounded by egotistical, prideful men who are psychopathic and sociopathic. They just blew my husband's fucking brains out. And he was cheating anyway, so fuck him. Let's be real. There's a bit of resentment in there. While she's climbing out of the convertible, she's flashing to images of JFK fucking Marilyn Monroe, who, of course, was a whore. And there's some resentment there, right? So, like, fuck him. His brains got blown out for a reason. You know, it seems all the heroes of America are people who pay for whores. John F. Kennedy, Donald Trump, the list goes on. Okay, let's not get into it. But yeah, they're all Bryan O'Shea, you know what we need to do? I keep saying I'm going to do this, but I can't fucking summon the energy to roll out of my bed earlier and get to my living room, which oftentimes I'm late for my own broadcast and it's in my living room, which, you know, that's a shocking testament of my work ethic and acumen at this point, competence and capability, that I'm late to a broadcast that happens in my living room. Hey, it happens. I'm not the most professional person, but I need to put together a list of Facebook comments and memes. I think we could do a good 30 minutes to an hour at least off of all the memes lately from the tards online. They're now putting up, if I didn't share it with you guys, they're now putting up Mother Superior, like the thing behind TBE, that famous, you know, Catholic imagery of the woman, Mother Superior, moving bullets away from Donald Trump because he's such a godly chosen man. You can't make this shit up. Like, they'll say I'm doing a cult over here while they're culting harder than ever on a mainline scenario, like mainstream culting. This is the hardest I've seen in a while, since maybe even 9/11, where everyone was yelling that George Bush kept us safe while everyone was dying. They go, yeah, the towers were collapsing, 3,000 people died, but Georgie kept everyone else safe around there. Like, that's not how that works. It's not how that works at all. You know, I gave that logic one time to my ex-girlfriend. I go, I didn't pay the rent this month, but I kept everyone safe around this place. She didn't buy it. She said I was a lazy, corrupt fuck, actually. Go ahead, Bryan O'Shea. You unmuted there.
George sent everyone Afghanistan to murder people, isn't he? Isn't that fucking? Isn't that how?
Yeah, they lost. They lost 2.3 trillion. 3 buildings collapsed into dust. Thousands of people died, but at least Georgie kept everyone safe in the area. And again, you guys are ridiculous for striking me on the other channel, but not on this one for mirrored content. It just proves you're biased. I love how you guys keep stacking up evidence. I have the same broadcast on this channel that I do on Paul Enslaved, but they take it down over there and not over here, proving it's just about that channel and the numbers. It's not about the content. I do an entertainment broadcast. That wasn't a political commentary, what I just did right there about 9/11. Cut it out. I was joking. It's obviously a joke. Like, who would really believe that the government would kill its own people? Come on. This is a fucking bit I'm doing. Who would believe that they would steal $2.3 trillion and engineer one of the biggest false flag terrorist attacks ever in history to replace buildings that had to be replaced anyway with a Freedom Tower that they got money to build? Instead of having to replace all the asbestos, they got money to build the Freedom Tower. You know, who's really going to do that, right? It's like, it's such a big operation. So many people would have to be involved in it. Come on. You think I'm one of those? Oh, man. They just don't get it here, Bryan O'Shea. Go ahead.
The whole Washington, D.C. District of Columbia, like you were outlining before, dude, that's creepy as fuck, dude. Like how you were outlining how it's a corporation, Washington, D.C.
No, that's a joke, too. That's just another joke there. That's a bit that I do. What, you really think that there's people out there who think that the United States is not the land we live on? that there's not 2 states on every land, and that they didn't amend the Constitution to make congressional states and citizens, which are pretty much imaginary. You really believe all that shit? It's a bit I'm doing. We all know that policy and code is law and that we have to do everything they say. Fucking slavery here. There's no rights and freedom and principles. We made that shit up, man. It's not real. You can't see that anywhere. Put hands on it. I made it up. Go ahead, Hefe. You got something?
Yeah, it's just a joke that they're worshiping Baphomet in their back rooms and sacrificing children and drinking blood and all that. They're definitely not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, why would anyone even do that? There's so much more tasty options out there. Like Starbucks has a new pesto egg and cheese sandwich. I've just learned of that. It's pretty decent. I don't really like going there because, again, and another bit that I do is that like all the top fast food places have demonic symbolism. Semiramis with the legs open, the whore of Babylon, that's Starbucks. Taco Bell with the little beast eye and the 666. We could get into it, like what these people are saying. I'm doing a bit when I'm doing that. I don't really believe any of that. I mean, like, how could that even happen? Like, how could it even be possible that we live in a realm that's holographic and everywhere you look is more evidence of the archetypal duality? It's not like there's a sun and a moon, night and day, masculine. Okay. I'm losing the bit and I'm losing what's real and what's not real. This is what can be confusing when you have conspiracy theorists and doubters all around you who just don't understand how life works. You just start saying wild things, making connections that maybe aren't there.
Fucking grow up.
Right. You're right. Well, I've actually come online and turned into my father. I now regularly tell people to get a job. It's something like we've completely turned the corner, because I meet so many lazy, procrastinating, broke, poor people on here who don't have to be that way. They're just fucking lazy. And they think that somehow, some way, a reality is going to be dropped into their lap that is something other than UBI income with a social credit score kicker and a tracking tracing modality behind it, right? So I'm like, hey, I get it. The fiat currency is not lawful money. It's not really backed by anything. But if you call it evil, right, even though you use it, you just shut yourself off from getting it. That's re-verifying you're going to be poor and broke and then having to live off other people and crying about how your life sucks, like Wizard and Talcott and the other folks
it's not illegal to use the debt notes even as a non-citizen, right? We have the ability to use their documents to interact with other people and exchange it for goods and services without consenting to the
right.
To the.
I mean, spiritually, metaphysically, I guess you could make the argument to some degree, but at the end of the day, again, common sense prevails. Just because you write up a contract and hand it to me and we make an agreement and I use some instrument you create doesn't mean you can go, aha, gotcha, I'm going to slave you and beat you and abuse you now. It's not how that works. So we all get to make a certain agreement that at this point, this is what we're all trading for value or these other things. And just because we're using something created by someone else doesn't give them some expressed right to treat us like property and slavery. Or enslaves, do slavery and genocide on us. It's ridiculous. So again, you just have to come to that perspective that, it is what it is, right? Like we like to say on the East Coast, you could give me all your money's evil bullshit or it's not lawful money. All of you are using the legal tender some way, somehow, at some point, sometime for your own benefit. When you perceive it as such, and when you're not, you're not. Let's just be really balanced and centered and equitable in this. We don't have to multiply hypotheses more than necessary, and we don't have to live in arrogance and ignorance. Again, this is why a lot of you folks are so angry and miserable, because you've made a whole bunch of things bad and a whole bunch of things good in your childlike perspective, and you're unable to find the gray area between the black and the white consistently. There's our problem, it would seem to me, in this life. We're not able to just use a common sensibility to live day to day to do good, lawful busyness and not be corrupt and accepting less for ourselves and each other through our lazy, procrastinating, theorizing, and ideologies. They're mostly hypocritical. These are the same people who, when they're sick or need something, they're right on the fucking line here begging motherfuckers for fiat currency. Give me a fucking break. I want to vomit. So you and I and all of us both know, unless you're going to build it, unless you're going to create it, whatever the God has put forth for you to use, you're going to use these coupons for value. So stop fucking calling them evil. Even if they are evil, nobody told you had to love the damn coupon. Love yourself and your life and what your purpose is. Serve regularly, put value out, and I bet it fucking shows up back. If it shows up back in one way as a coupon for value known as fiat currency, all the better for you. If it's not showing up in your life, it's probably because you're a selfish, self-centered, neglectful, arrogant, ignorant slave. So please, for Wizard and Talcott and other folks like I just described, stop projecting onto me. I don't have superiority complex. You have inferiority complex. You wake up every day and say, I'm not going to do or be shit today. I'm going to hang around in a bunch of fucking panels and jack off. I'm not going to put my heart into anything. I'm not going to be co-creative. I'm not going to do the bits, right? Wizard's so ignorant and arrogant in his ego and narcissism. He's too good to be a clown and do the bits. I ain't, because I don't take my fucking self too seriously, and I am and do more than the majority of you motherfuckers in certain ways. I don't have that ego and narcissism. The truth in the record's the truth in the record. I'm able to drop it at any moment and be the clown that we all are. Because guess what? You're clown the fuck out. That's the reality of it. Everyone here on some level is a puppet on a strings to someone or something. You ain't your own fucking God. You ain't to be taken completely serious. How are you or anyone else here to be taken completely seriously with the way that you show up and present and how you live? You're a fucking walking joke and you don't even see it and get it. I mean, if I could look at myself and see that on some level, right, that I'm a character on the world stage, that I'm a lol cow, like they like to say at times, you know, and I even almost sort of thrive on it here at times. I expound on my, you know, expressions and the way that I express. But yeah, it's like you guys reveal yourselves and why you're in lack and loss and abandonment and resistance, because you can't get in that flow space and that space of acceptance of who and what you are and are not in order to then change that if necessary or have more to be revealed. So yeah, again, this is something I've had to confront in myself at one point. Not only did I not want to come on here and sell anything, I didn't feel even good about receiving anything. That's how twisted and low self-worth and self-esteem I started out this journey with. So it's a shame, the more confident and capable that I become, the more that I validate and verify these certain ideas within myself and then give it away, the more they tell me I'm an egotistical, narcissistic, superiority complex person. No, you're just the antithesis of that. Right? You may need a little more ego at times in this life in a positive sense, a little bit more purpose, a little bit more meaning, a little bit more value and principle. Not that fake weak ass shit to try to substantiate your negative qualities. These are the same people who, if I invited them down to the community, they would have nobody and nothing except for dis-ease, discontent, and having to be cared for and looked after like a fucking child. Is that how you want to live your life? I get it. At some point, we all return back to infancy in our elderly state. But, you know, again, maybe that's my ego and pride. I don't want to be 60 years old and not have shit. I don't want to be 60 years old and have to be fucking taken care of like a baby. You know, it's like we're all going back to that at some point inherently anyway. But I would think that you would live some amount of your life prioritizing for that, preparing for that. You know, and if not, if you haven't yet, well, then recognizing that you've been a lazy, slovenly, squandering slave. And now is a better time than ever, while you still got feet and legs and are able to get the fuck up, go down to the corner store and serve your fucking community and make a living. I don't know what type of time you guys are on in your fucking ignorance and arrogance. You guys ain't great entertainers. You're not that interesting. You're not that well spoken. You know, I mean, like What are your talents and abilities that you're not nurturing that you think are going to take you to the top of a shit heap to only come back down? Bizarre. I'm literally 35 years old and I have a somewhat successful broadcast working in the private, creating value on various levels. I mean, you see this guy shows up today and goes, I got 40 acres. Come on down. We're going to work. We're going to do busyness. And still in the back of my mind, I go, at some point, this broadcast is going to change or it's going to end. At some point, I'm going to have to do something else with my time, energy, attention in my life. I'm going to serve the same thing, right? As a spirit or a passion, a care, just in a different way, a different venue, right? It would never occur to me at this point to do what I did half my life, sit around, smoke dope, not put my heart into anything completely, not create anything worth a damn, not have any fucking network. Your network is your net worth because of what I just described. What successful or on the way to being successful being is ever going to entertain someone who's like you folks now or like I was most of my life? It's not going to happen. This guy who has 40 acres and is going to put a house and a well and whatever. I don't know what he does, but whatever he does, he's not going to want. It's common sense. Especially old ass, weak ass motherfuckers who don't get off their ass and don't have a pot to piss in. You become a liability to everyone in your life. Now, you can talk some highfalutin spiritual Jeremiah 15 and all the rest of it. It doesn't comport. It doesn't compute. If you're not going to chop wood, carry water, if you're not going to build your fucking cabin, if you're not going to hunt and fish and grow your food, you're a fucking liability. And you're a collectivist. Because you need society and democracy in order to give you a way to live and survive. It's beyond pathetic. You're beyond communistic hippies at this point. At least the hippies, lived without. They live in the mud. They grow corn. They take their acid. They smoke their dope. And they live within their means, close to nature. You slaves want condos and houses on Main Street and all the services without doing and being shit. And I just don't get it. I just don't get how you guys think that a functional society where you all use the services are going to continue when you won't be part of creating that or managing that. It's beyond ignorant and arrogant. It's beyond disenfranchised. It's beyond delusional. Because in your superiority complex you like to put on me, you're too good to work, right? This is your crap nonsense that I used to live, right? In your insecurity and fear, you've developed a grandiose sense of self that's not in line with reality. And you've convinced yourself and everyone else around you that you're too good to have to work. You're too good to have to create and build shit. You get to sit around and pontificate and motherfuckers are going to pay you just to be. It's a good gig if you can get it. This is coming from me. It's a good gig if you can get it, but you guys can't and you won't. So why continue to bullshit yourselves and each other? Part of the reason you won't get it is because when motherfuckers watch you and listen to you, they don't believe you. Your beingness and your energy and your ideology doesn't translate. So you're not really moving anyone because you don't believe in you. You don't have faith in you and the bigger purpose. You're putting on to try to be received a certain way. It's prosperity preacher central without the prosperity. You guys are prosperity preaching and don't have prosperity. It doesn't even make any sense. So if you don't believe in you and it doesn't translate, nobody's going to give you shit for just talking online or being you. When the fuck are you going to get out of your ignorance and arrogance and superiority complex and go do what the rest of the world does? Just like I told the African-American gentleman, it's a good gig if you can get it. You may have to come at it a different way. But here's the thing. Slave Cot and Wizard and the rest of them are too egocentric to put on a Spider-Man costume. Paulie's not. That's the difference. Paulie's not too egocentric to go be a valet and sit in the rain every night and make $5 an hour base pay and whatever else I can come up with through serving motherfuckers. So I bring weed to the wedding. You guys need any weed? You're outside, you're drinking. I know you want to hit some weed. You guys need any cigarettes? You're all chain smoking out here. I'll take the car right around the block and go get you guys cigarettes. You don't have to move. While this is again what I learned on the job, you folks at 60 haven't learned yet, which is real service. And then we can argue about all the toxified products and bullshit I was getting them. That's a different conversation. The point is, I was on the job with folks like you. even being fat and lazy, it still dawned on me what this life is about at some point, and how you get ahead and how you feel good about yourself and whatever it is you show up to do. You know, you really got to get into that service mentality. That is rugged, individual, entrepreneurial Americana. And most folks ain't got it, and they ain't looking to get it. So when I was in the rain, standing outside, guess where the other loser slackers were? In their car, watching movies on the DVD thing. Back in the day, we didn't have all the shit we have now. So they'd bring a DVD player and watch DVDs with their little blankie with the heat on, cuddled up in the car. All the loser failures. Because, you know, once you take the cars and you park them, everyone goes inside to the wedding or whatever it is for the next 2-3 hours, whatever it is, right? So instead of them using their ingenuity, caring about service, caring about getting ahead and not being in debt, they were more interested in being comfortable, being safe, and doing what everyone else does. So they're going to go smoke their dope. They're going to go sit in the car with their blankie. They're going to watch DVDs. Pauly Boys in the rain. Pauly Boys asking the people what they want and need. Pauly Boys taking their cars around the block to go get them cigarettes without a license, mind you. Without a license. The rest of these slaves had the licenses and everything else. I'm on the clock working under the table without a fucking license, going off the property, risking my life even more to get these motherfuckers what they needed. And that's why at the end of the night, Pauly Boy had 2 and 3 and 5 times what everyone else made. How did he do it? Well, I fucking cared. Well, I sacrificed. I put myself on the line, right? I made connections. I networked. While the rest of you slaves, and then you know what they had the balls to do? This is what taught me all about what you parasitic, lazy scum are and how to not be like you. You know what they had the balls to do at the end of the night? Go to the manager and say, Paulie's not splitting tips. They would try to take half of what the fuck I made off of my ingenuity and self-made beingness and able to speak and talk and move and shake. They wanted a cut of it, just like they did here on the panel. You're all the same. You've always been the same. Won't do half of what the fuck I do in every venue. Won't do it the way I do it, especially. You're too damn proud for that. And you're too damn weak. And then when I get to more than you, think that you get a cut of what the fuck I created with who and what I am and what I know and what I've learned. That life doesn't work that way. Okay? So what did I do? Went right to the manager and said, listen, I'm doing service out here like the rest of your scum ain't. I'm doing 4 and 5 times a night what the fuck they're doing. And they're hiding money in their socks because I caught them. So they're lying and cheating out here, and they want a cut of what I'm making. It's not happening. So he changed the whole rules for me because I told him, I'm not going to work here and accept less for myself, doing more than the rest of them because they're entitled, lazy, procrastinating, weak-ass scum. They get less at the end of the night because they did less, and they get no entitlement to what the fuck I did extra and created. This ain't a team effort. You motherfuckers don't know how to play as a team, so it can't be a team. I'm going to lead and outperform you as an individual, and I'm going to be your biggest inspiration for you to do and be and have better. I'm going to motivate your bitch ass. Your thoughts, Hefe, in general? Because we're going to get to clips here. I'm now off on some anecdotal rant about my coming up and self-realization and actualization. Just becoming awake and aware at some point to some degree on why we've all become loser failures and can't get ahead or get out of our own way. Do you have anything, sir?
Yeah, I think that we are getting out of our own way. It just takes time, you know, and everybody goes at a different speed. Some people are definitely not getting out of their own way, but I don't know. Actually, I was kind of thinking about the land still. I was looking at some of the pictures. There's a like a dry riverbed on it. It's really more like a canyon. It's about 12 to 15 feet deep. It basically is like an existing firing range. It's already ready. It's got a backdrop.
You're selling it now, huh? You're selling me on it. Dude, I'm telling you, you're already
decisions.
I had to tell Jennifer earlier that God works through me and these people in this broadcast some way, somehow. I don't know how to explain that, but I've seen it over and over again. And I've already put out the intention that I don't want to be in the sandbox where we're headed back to. I'd like to be back in the pine forest. I just don't want to do a 20-mile up and down over the hill with, you know, if you saw it up there, it's not even just the dirt road in the mountains. It's at a certain point, it zigzags. You got to go over these rocks. down. It's a whole situation, right? So by virtue of me manifesting that I want to be back in those pines, it's a beautiful area. In the back of that property, dude, is a dry lake bed where I was, right? So again, I just start to go, okay, we're on it again. You know, this guy's most likely not some, you know, fed or criminal or scum trying to get me hemmed up some way, somehow. Get out of your imagination, Paulie boy. You're not John Wick. You know, that's another thing they taught me. Go ahead.
You're going to be a second set of hands. You know, we're going to, just like you said, we're going to be growing a garden. The neighbors already have a greenhouse, and they're off grid. The whole neighborhood's off grid. There's no power lines back there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a mutually beneficial community, you know? And just like you said, if you're not carrying your weight, you know, that's a breach in contract.
Well, I mean, again, ultimately, man, the way that I looked at it when we were on the original land is we can have a communal area and everybody can work toward that. If you don't put in time for that, well, then you don't reap what's sown there. So ultimately, if everybody wants to have their own acre and buy it out, right, to whoever owns it, and, you know, we make a contract, it really comes down to that, because you can't be following people around telling them, hey, you're going to work today, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. It's real simple. We're going to grow a garden, whoever the we is, whether it's one person or five. Everyone has their own little acre that they've paid for or given whatever trade for value to have their own little area. If they can care for themselves and subsist there and not have to do anything else, well, then that's on the individual. But when, again, the time of harvest comes and the individual, whether it be me or someone else, didn't put any work in the community garden, well, then you don't get to benefit from what's grown there. So either you go to the store and buy your toxified garbage, or you do without. You go hunting, you know. So that's kind of the because I had this discussion, and again, as much as I like to pretend here that I'm you know, inspired, ambitious, and motivated, oftentimes I don't do much else with my days beyond this broadcast and maybe a couple other things. So I can't be hypocritical. And ultimately I go, okay, if I resort back to my lazy and procrastinating ways, or just doing the minimum in my life, as long as I'm able to care for myself and I'm not a burden on others and I'm not living off of other people, I can afford to do that, unless I come to a point where, hey, you guys grew everything, I didn't help, and now I don't have anything, and I'm going to expect to get something from what you put work and time, energy, attention into. It doesn't work that way. You know, so it's a little bit of this and that, right? Just to protect everybody. But then you would have to decide, you know, how much active role and consistent commitment you want from anybody or everybody involved in that endeavor. You know, because if not, there's probably going to be times where folks are going to be cycling in and out of there, and then you're going to have to figure out how to buy people out because, hey, this week or this month, so and so didn't do as much as I thought they were going to do. You know,
right? And it's going to have to be like there's going to have to be almost a HOA, you know? So I haven't really considered having just a huge amount of people there. I've only reached out to you because I kind of know who you are, basically, you know, based off of your broadcast, you know, but you don't know me that well. And yeah, so we're going to have to work through it. We're going to have to figure out what everybody's goals are and what the optimal future would be among everybody, all the inhabitants.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, you know, it's to me, like I said, I've come to a middle ground point where I go, everybody has to be self-sustainable and self-sufficient as an individual to some degree, and unless some huge unforeseen emergency or whatever takes place. As long as everybody is self-sufficient and self-sustainable, can care for themselves and afford their lifestyle or create or harvest or get whatever it is they need, well, then we're all in abundance. So when we come together, we can share more or do more or work together more. If not, well, then everybody's still good, right? That's the conclusion that I've come to, and how you have to live those things or these kind of scenarios. Because if not, everybody starts looking at everyone else. What does he have? What is he doing? if you have everything you need and you're doing whatever it is you want and need to do, there shouldn't be any worry about what anyone else has or doesn't have, is doing or not doing, unless people become a burden or a liability, which is all we're trying to avoid, becoming a burden or a liability and living beyond our means. You know? So again, I'm the type of person where I want to be able to grow food. Like, I'm going to go jack Talcott. I have goals. Doesn't mean that I'm not self-aware and know that at times I don't slack and I may not hit them. So I'm going to sit here and bullshit you or everyone else. I have goals. This is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do. I should live that way and then move into it completely, regardless of whatever I feel. At times, I may not do that. So then it just comes down to, did Paulie Boy pay for his area? Does everyone feel at home with him? Is he asking anyone for anything else? Does he come out and bother anybody else? No. He stays in his hole. He stays to himself. He does his broadcast. He pays for his shit, or he creates or hunts or harvests whatever he needs. So, you know, I just may be Shrek on the outside of your town over there, and you never really see me or hear me. Every once in a while, there's some gunshots from the back, but I kind of stay to myself and stay in my lane and do what I do. And I don't really ask for anything, you know?
Good, man.
And that's kind of how I want to live.
I don't like being bothered. I don't like it when somebody drives down the road. You know, I'm like, who the fuck is this? And luckily, this land is on the dead end, so it's not going to have much traffic. Yeah, I respect other people's privacy. I demand it in return. I think that's how everybody should live. And then we have the communal space and time. Yeah.
Right.
That's how we should be living. Everybody.
Yeah, it's like a prison, man. It's set up that way in a way. You know, it's set up that way. You could argue just intuitively. Everyone has their own cell in their own area. Do what the fuck you want to do in there. As long as it doesn't spill out into the day area and you don't create problems for everybody else. You want to beat off in there. You want to keep trash and garbage around. Obviously, you should keep it clean. Do the best you can, you know. But if not, long as it doesn't cause a problem for everybody else and bring rats and roaches and whatever, nobody gives a fuck what you do or don't do. And then for the common area, if you want to use the common area and whatever's common to everyone else, you better keep it clean. You better look after it. You better provide for it. It's just the way, you know, it seems to work, right? You got your public and private. So when you're in the public, in the common area, certain things are going to be expected of everyone. If you don't like that, stay the fuck out of there. Stay to yourself in your private area, and then we really won't have any problems. You know, especially if we don't have more expectations that lead to disappointments, right? I try to live my life with as least amount of expectations that leave disappointments. If anything, I have expectations for me, you know, and if I don't hit those, well, then I got to live with me and what I have and don't have, right? I don't really have them for other people. So, you know, because I do that to protect me, I encourage other people to do that with me. Because again, oftentimes people may see me a certain way on here and they may presume certain things. And then I have to be really real and candid with them that I'm far from perfect. I have my own weaknesses at times, my own tests and challenges. And I may not be the person that you think I am because of the way I come on here and present what I talk about. I have to be very equitable and honest about my shortcomings, you know, in order for people to not have expectations beyond what's reasonable to avoid disappointments for everybody. Because I never want to be seen as a person who I come somewhere and I become a liability or a burden, or motherfuckers see me as lazy and go, you got to get the fuck out of here, bro. You're not who we think you are. I want to avoid all that, you know? And again, maybe that's just my self-sabotage or accepting less for myself when I could do and be more at times, and I choose not to. And then I want to make excuses for myself. There is an aspect of that, you know, that I'm aware of with me. But again, man, we keep it as simple as possible and straightforward. You know, that's what I've come to in these scenarios, because there's been other people at times, they may not have money, they may not work, but again, long as I don't have any expectations of them, they have to do certain shit for me or for the community. If they can care for themselves in their private area and not be a burden or a liability, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Just don't come to me when whatever time comes and go, hey, you got food, you got money, you got this. You had all year in a communal area to create that and grow that and be part of that. If not, you got to figure it out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I have experience. I lived on a farm in Costa Rica for a while. And basically the rules there were, we give you a week's worth of beans and rice, and you can sleep in the cabin if you provide 4 hours of work a day. So, and you had the weekends off, and you got you didn't have to work on, or you only had to put in 2 hours on Thursdays or something like that. It was really easy. It was great, you know. And from there, you can go whatever you want. It might be a little bit harder in Arizona, but
Yeah, I mean, again, but that's
that's
something for something.
Set up like that, you know, that you would require someone to work for 4 hours every day, because I'm not trying to invade their life and their routine. So it's all about.
Well, that's a different story, right? If you're providing land that people are not paying for and trading value to have their own area, and you're giving someone a cabin, then yeah, that's something for something. Hey, we'll let you live here and have this if you provide work to the community. But for somebody who, you know, is self-sustainable, self-sufficient, caring for themselves, and doesn't need the services of the community, what do they have to give work for? You know, I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. No, like I wouldn't necessarily expect that from me, just objectively, and I wouldn't expect it from anybody else. It's expected when the person comes in and goes, "I need weeks worth of food every week, and I don't have any other way to live or any other place to go, and I can't trade you anything for what you have. So I require your services and the services of the community." Well, then you have to give to get. You know, that's in any form.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
What do we drive? Let's do what Brian O'Shea does. Did we drive Brian O'Shea away?
Talcott's
He drove
not
you away
invited.
and then you drove him away? What now?
Talcott is not invited, sorry.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is again, I could say me and Talcott could do the thing where we mirror each other at times. The difference is that I don't constantly go around going, I need help. I need other people to work for me. I need people to help me. I just do what I do, and I live within my means, and I somehow have whatever I'm meant to have. And I'm kind of good where I'm at, you know. So like, if you're not going to work and your Talcott broadcast is not bringing in anything, and you're putting out everything that you have to debts that you can't satisfy. And like he said yesterday, he doesn't even have money to now smoke his reefer that he wants to smoke. So he'll say to me and everyone else that I'm lying, that he has money, he's living off his retirement, but obviously it can't be going too well, because unless you're planning on dying today, you don't even have anything extra for food and water and reefer and whatever else you're fucking doing. So yeah, like again, if you bring Talcott or a wizard down, they immediately become a burden or a liability, because they're going to want everybody's help. They're going to constantly play the victim. They're not going to have everything they need. And then when they show up to the communal area and you're smoking your dope that you worked for or paid for, however you did it, they're going to want some of it and call you an asshole when you won't provide it to them, because they think everybody's supposed to be their daddy in this realm, apparently, while saying that everybody's beneath them. It's kind of bizarre. So yeah, it's nothing personal. It just comes down to like what we all learn about ourselves if we're that way, you know, and how we change that to not be that burden and liability. And who wants to be around that, honestly? It's one thing if you're going to be like a monk and do without everything and pursue enlightenment. Well, you live in a cave then, and you don't do anything other than, you know, your exercises, and you tend to your little garden you have there, and then everything's whatever it is. Right? It's another thing to be in a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, whining and crying and complaining every day while claiming you're the second coming and not having money for your necessities. And you're not willing to create that or you know, barter for that on some level. Because as Talcott said to me, you know, he even took it to the next level, right? I'll pad my laziness and procrastination with excuses. He went all the way. He goes to me, what do you think? I'm going to work in the field? You think that's what my life's come down to? I go, Talcott, on some level, you should enjoy. Like, if nothing else, I enjoy growing reefer. I enjoy growing at times. Like right now, I got 10 pots out there, a little bit of reefer, some beans, some squash, and, you know, it's low maintenance. It's not like it's fucking backbreaking work. You throw some water on it here and there, you know, but in his mind, right, like growing stuff is equivalent to him being a peasant, and that's beneath him. You know, so
It's
like, do you really think with an attitude like that you're ever going to be successful? You're so dishonorable and bad faith. And then they'll say, I have superiority complex. No, that's you. It's like a inferiority complex that masquerades as superior, right? It's too good to do everything that the rest of us know we need to do or even enjoy doing.
The thing is Talcott would probably, and he would enjoy it if he would actually break away from his ego and his preconceived notions and actually get his hands in the dirt, or, you know, live on a front porch. That's what I did. I lived on the front porch of the cabin. You couldn't have the whole cabin. There was other people there. I had a mosquito net and I lived on the front porch, and it was great. It was like some of the best times of my life.
Right. That's what you come to learn. But again, like you said, you got to put aside those expectations and those desires that lead to suffering. Hey, I'm going to be famous. I'm meant to be rich here. I'm meant to be famous. I'm meant to do this and have that and save wars in the world. You know, you got to let go of all that shit. And you got to go, I'm here right now. And if I just do what the next right thing is to do and take care of myself and do a little bit extra, I'll be good and we'll all be good. And there's nothing more that we need, you know? So good luck trying to convince these folks to get out of their ego while they're too busy trying to find how everyone around them is egotistical. Like you said, man, I lived in that tent on that land, and as bizarre as it is for me to say, I'm not putting on and pretending like Wizard does. I actually at times go, it's a simpler life. You know, there's little to no desires and expectations, so there's little to no suffering. All you have to do is do a little bit extra, and who can honestly say they don't benefit from doing a little bit extra at times? You know, if I have to go haul the water and get the water and carry 5 gallons to put the heating element to take a shower, well, that's what you got to do, or you don't bathe. You know? So, I mean, it keeps you in good shape. You know, you get some exercise. You feel like you got some purpose and always have something to do. Keep you busy, so to speak. You know, keep the devil and the monkey off your back. So, yeah, I mean, again, I may be averse at times and not like hard work, but I've learned to realize I may need it as much as that scares me or confuses me. Right? It may be something that we need or benefit from, even if we're averse to it.
Right. And then, I mean, once you actually start doing it, you realize this isn't even work. This is like, this is purpose.
Is this person, you people are passive aggressive. Either that or you're really fucked up and stupid. So pick one. You're passive aggressive and you're not happy when I'm like peaceful and when I'm having a back and forth and I'm creating. You love fucking with me and yourself is what it is. Because you can't honestly come in here today after the last fucking week of me going off on that idiot who you keep sucking the feet of and keep saying I'm mean and that I won't invite Chili over here to talk to me. You're delusional. You're gaslit. You're kind of confused and fucked up. So you can't honestly, this is what I mean. This is what I mean by passive aggressive. You can't honestly come in here today and actually say I should make a hoodie and trifold and be serious. This can't be serious. Like Ace already did the shirt thing. We did it for the marketing promotions and to give certain people who are here constantly a token, you know, of the broadcast. But I'm not here. This isn't the Castro's broadcast. Could you please stop? Like I keep asking you, slave. This is what I mean. We can't have community with slaves like this because every day they'll come wandering out of their hole, desperate for some attention because they're lonely, and they'll wander into my area and say some stupid fucking offensive shit and make equivocations and equalizations. And I have to keep reminding them, A, stay the fuck away from me. B, if you're going to come around me, stop with the fucking games. C, when I show you my boundaries and who and what I am and I communicate what I am doing and my wishes, stop projecting yours onto me. I'm not here to do a bazaar any more than it already is bizarre living here and communicating what we're all experiencing. This isn't a fucking flea market, and I'm not selling you a bunch of bullshit products. Go over there and buy it and get duped, enslaved, and hoed out. Stop asking me to become like your fucked up idol worship non-heroes. Please. The day that I finally listen to you dumb scum and become like them is the day that everyone leaves here and doesn't respect me anymore, and you're too fucking short-sighted to even recognize how that works. So keep your fucking opinions and suggestions to yourself. Odds are you're not a successful business person. Odds are you're not integral. Odds are you have no actual discernment, principles, and value system. Because if you did, you wouldn't project onto someone who does the antithesis of that. Please, begging. I have to beg on my own broadcast every day for either stupid or retarded people to stop projecting onto me their nonsense ideas and beliefs. And they don't stop. This is why we have governance. This is why it almost has to be necessary, because you projecting arrogant, ignorant, selfish, egotistical slaves keep projecting that onto me when I'm trying to live the antithesis of that while doing a broadcast and being somewhat entertaining and ironic at times and revealing and mirroring. Okay. So this right here is not God of all media bit. This right here is actually my frustrated sentiment with folks who are all the same and will not shut up and go away and will not stop projecting their insanity and nonsense onto me, not realizing it's a demon they have that wants to destroy me and what we do here. Like I said, the day that I start selling documents claiming to get you all out of trouble you never should have gotten into with hoodies that say Paul Unslaved regularly, it's just not who and what I am and what it was supposed to be. And that's the day that you're going to go, we're going to go back over here, and because Pauly boys become like the rest of them. There's one reason you folks come here regularly, because I'm not like the rest of them. And you keep telling me to become like the rest of them. Stop it. It's not who and what I am. It's not what gives me value. It's not what allows me to respect myself or be respected. And I don't want to become like you or the rest of them. Please allow me that freedom in my life and on my journey. Go ahead, Mr. Hefe. I had to remind the confused, disenfranchised, disempowered, false value system slaves on who and what I am and who and what they are and why they need what I'm doing here. I don't need their suggestions.
Right. I think you probably came across to the people that needed to hear that. I saw that Katie said it was a joke.
Hucklebuss the Coward, aka Wizard, is on a secondary channel being restreamed right now, trying to be able to talk at me from the chat without consequences, acting like a broken child. Coward again, Wizard. There's a link down there. You have no problem for years coming up here to be seen and heard and cycle and spin and grift for your needs. So try it today. Again, like you have hundreds of times in the past. If you're not a coward who's playing power games, who's been watching me every day and being reactive to what I'm doing and saying, because you're a loser failure who can't go get your own broadcast and own life. You're a parasite user, just like Jack Talcott. You can't get your own movement, your own lane, your own broadcast, your own home, your own anything. And even your own children don't want to be with you and around you. And you still can't accept your shortcomings, and you still can't live into whatever strengths are within you. It's just amazing. I have to beg these fucking pathetic slaves to stop dimming their light and playing fucking power games that haven't worked for them yet, instead of just coming out into the open in the light of truth and owning the position one way or the other. You guys are like, it's like you came on here just to establish yourself with some credibility in something you specialize in, only to destroy it, showing the rest of who and what you are. It's archetypal, your self-sabotage and self-destructive ways. You're all the same. That's why you found your home over with Talcott, ironically. After 2 years with me, being inspired, motivated, somewhat successful, making 10 times what you would have made on your own in this, that you didn't need till you needed it and now don't need it anymore. More hypocrisy. You found your home with a loser failure whose kids don't want to talk to him, who can't pay his own fucking rent and doesn't get any of this because he's got none of this united with this and whatever's down there between his fucking legs. Okay? Daddy's here again, trying to help you out, trying to get you to see the fucking obvious bigger picture that you keep ignoring to play your low-level willful games. You don't even have that much will. So what's the point doing your own will rather than the will? You don't even have that. You guys are very unwillful, undisciplined, inactive people. So let's cut the egotistical, prideful games. Let's cut the division, disempowerment, disenfranchisement games. Let's get in the light of truth and own the position, or surrender in faith. Because, hey, I'm lying. I'm not being honest. You know a different story. So why does it bug you so much? Why does it trigger you so much? Why does it drive you away from here all of a sudden so much? Because you know I and others got your fucking number. You're not kidding anyone. So get over it. Accept who and what you are so you can change who and what you are. Come back to the balance and center and the resource and do, be, and have better. Stop the games. No one's buying it. You're embarrassing yourself, and you've already, if not completely, are destroying your credibility. The credibility and respect that you racked up here for 2 years with this audience, you've completely destroyed and shit all over by showing the rest of your broken, childlike, cowardly ways. Why do I have to beg you guys to be fucking men every day? It's beyond embarrassing and pathetic. If I have to beg you and you're not going to do it, just fucking go away and stay gone. It's even more pathetic and embarrassing when you keep hanging around here, watching and listening to me and making little comments in the chat that nobody gives a fuck about. You're either credible and honorable or you're not. And if you're not, there's no point in typing if you're not in a loser failure hole like Jack Talcott's. Go ahead,
Daddy,
sir.
I need government. I need governance.
Do you need governance from Daddy? Yeah, apparently everyone does around these parts, especially. Like, what makes these folks have no self-awareness? You don't understand when the power differential changes and you no longer have any power because you're shown to be a coward and a liar. You guys have never ran in the street or in a group, have you? This is a guy who says he did 2 years in prison and had to run with people. How is that possible? You would know group dynamics. You would immediately be able to feel the difference in how you dropped the ball, gave up your credibility and empowerment and inspiration, haven't picked it back up yet, and you're still yapping. You're the same guy in the cell who, when they're surrounding you, you're going to still yap, and they're going to tell you, just shut the fuck up. The time for that's over. You built up your respect and credibility on false ground. You were shown to be who and what you are. Now that's gone, and there's no point talking anymore. Now you're going to get what's meant for you. Or if you're lucky, we just take mercy and grace on you. Stop with the yapping and the resisting and the cycling and spinning. The time for that's over. You showed who and what you are. There's one way back now. If you won't do it and be it, just shut up and take whatever your fucking fate and your lumps are. Stop the bitch ass cowardly struggle and resisting game. It's not working for you. Either be active and change the outcome or shut the fuck up and accept it. This in-between egotistical childlike bullshit is even more pathetic and embarrassing. These are the same people who want to cry when they put the gun in their face. Oh, please, don't do it. Don't do it. Do you want to die like a bitch and a coward? Is that what your whole life has come down to? Because what's going to happen is going to happen. Do you want to go out like a bitch and a coward, or do you want to be a fucking man for once in your life? That's the question. And I'm speaking from experience. I've had guns pointed in my face. Doesn't mean I didn't have some level of fear. I'm just not going to fucking grovel and submit and be a fucking coward. I don't need to. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And you know what I've learned 9 out of 10 times? What we're afraid is going to happen is most oftentimes an illusion, because there's a bigger purpose and meaning going on some way, somehow. Right? So a couple times when I told people to put a gun in my face to just go ahead and use it, specifically because at that time I completely detached from my life and living, a skill that goes overlooked oftentimes, almost a necessary tool you need in the box that they would call being suicidal, right? It allowed me to cultivate more faith. So you're someone talking Jeremiah and God and all this bullshit, but you're exemplifying faithlessness and fear constantly. If you weren't in fear, you'd come into my chat. If you weren't in fear, you'd come up on the panel. You want to go to a secondary chat where you get no consequences and you get to play your little bitch ass power games. You don't have true faith. If you had faith in yourself and what was true and what's right, you wouldn't have the life and lifestyle and partnership that you have with that woman who doesn't respect you. Do we have to keep going back to that? The day one that I met you, that should have been my clue. See, I let you folks hang around me longer than I should because I give you the benefits of the extreme doubt. When I meet someone week one and their bitch is disrespecting them in my chat, I already know they ain't shit. That's how you can tell a motherfucker ain't shit. When you meet them and they're with a goofy bitch who on top of it doesn't respect them in public. It proves you are not respectable or you keep a disrespectful bitch around because you're needy and codependent. Either way, it proves on one level, the other, or both, that you and that person are not shit. You're in a relationship of convenience and necessity. You don't actually care and love and respect each other. You're over each other, but you got little to no other options of other people and other things to do and be. It's called low value central. It's called resentful central is what it is. Okay? So stop pretending like we all can't fucking see you day one and how you live and what you're about and what your bitch is about. It tells 1,000 fucking words in one image. Every fucking time. Every time I've ever met a man whose woman, I don't care how long they've been together. We've been married 20 years. This is what 20 years of marriage looks like. No, it doesn't. This is what 20 years of marriage for a bitch-ass, disempowered, needy, codependent motherfucker who's got no self-worth and value and respect looks like. Not me, not others. Anyone knows that. Any man knows that. The moment that that bitch gets over you and starts disrespecting you in public and not holding you in high regard is the day you fucking leave and don't come back. Let her find somebody else to shit on and disrespect. If you can hack it, most of you can't because you need that double income or that single income because you motherfuckers don't work and don't create anything and can't go get a damn motel room for the next month or so or 6 months. Who are you fucking kidding? There's not a man on this land who's successful or wants to be successful who would live with day to day and put up what you fucking slaves put up with. Then you want to come here with all your pent up resentments and regrets and vomit them onto me. Go figure your shit out, loser, failure. Go have some fucking self-worth, self-value, and self-respect and get your fucking life and relationships together. Then maybe you can come online one day when you've done that and share that with the rest of us. You ain't there yet, son. I love the ageism. He thinks because he's older than me, it's some barometer of maturation, intelligence, or success. It's not. You've had more time on this earth and you've done way less. That's proof that you're beneath me, if anything. You don't have a pot to piss in. You're not respected by a woman you've cultivated 20 years of time with, and you want to talk down to me because I'm younger than you? I've done in 35 years what you couldn't in 70, old fuck. And that's not ego and pride. That's the reality and checking the record. We don't live in a relationship, the two of us, where we don't value and respect each other. We don't live in a relationship where we fucking disrespect each other in public. And I could argue if we do, it's more on my side than on her. She would never entertain disrespecting me in public when I've been her strongest fucking link in every aspect in life. She just texted me this morning because she left for the day to go down to see her daughter and take care of business down where the old house was. First thing in the morning, messages me, I have to thank you again. I go, for what? You don't have to thank me for nothing. For pushing me, for challenging me, for redirecting me at times, for revealing to me who and what I could be, my potential. You don't do none of that. That's why your bitch doesn't respect you. That's why she disrespects you in public. You guys have no idea what it's like to wake up, actualized and realized, and be inspiring and empowering and not even ask for anything or need anything and still get it. Still have motherfuckers in your life who respect you and see the inspiration and empowerment. And you're a source of that for them to make them do and be and have better and feel better. You ain't that. You're a fucking burden and a liability, and you accept less for yourself and everyone around you. You're the antithesis of that. And instead of you showing the fuck up here today and every day and soaking up this good fucking energy and game and putting it back out, you keep rejecting it, ignoring it in your arrogance and detracting from it. That's why you're going to continue to be in shitty fucking lifestyles and relationships and have a shitty fucking broadcast and presentment and be surrounded by shitty loser fucking failures. This ain't that fucking complicated and difficult, folks. What you put out is what you get back, or you get back motherfuckers who are in need of what you put out. Thoughts, Mr. Hefe? We never went. We got to go to clips. We got to go to the docket. We never hit that yet, which is a good sign. That means we can still do. Go ahead.
I was limiting myself and my for a long time, and that's one of the reasons I actually reached out to you, because I'm doing something different. I'm gonna live my life a little bit differently, be a little more generous, a little more open to maybe having a community in my life, or like a network of what you could call a family or friends.
Right. We're all on the same journey, man. We all find ourselves here on this broadcast or in this realm at times for a reason or a set of reasons. The smallest and biggest part of it is the awareness to see what the fuck we're all doing here. You know, oftentimes I seem to know why other folks are here more than they do. That's not a good sign. They think that I want that or need that. Well, it's the way it needs to be, I guess. I enjoy it. It's good content, but that's concerning. If you don't know your true purpose, meaning, and value and principles and what work you need to do here karmically, and I got to tell it to you, you're not where you need to be. That's okay. We'll get you there if you're willing and able, you know. But that's the thing, man. Like you just revealed to me, right? You're just telling me this is what self-awareness is. The ability, instead of looking out at everyone else and condemning everyone else constantly, at times refocus that. Look at you. What's my karma? What do I need to work on? You know, what can I maybe get better at? And I get it, because while I'm saying this, I'm aware that with many of you, I won't pull any punches. I don't oftentimes be as nice and kind and polite as I could be. I just go right into the mode of critique, and I drive a lot of folks away from this process and procedure who may take to it if I used a different modality. I just conclude you ain't ready. Maybe that's my ego and pride projecting that it's your ego and pride. I just think that when a motherfucker really wants to win in this life and do and be and have better, they'll take the help from anybody, anywhere, anytime, and they'll leave the rest. That's how I was. I had to put all my beliefs and thoughts and feelers on the back burner and say, I'm going to start taking suggestions from motherfuckers who are being, doing, and having more than I am and have. And it seemed to work to a certain degree, right? So I can only speak on what I've experienced for myself and what I've learned. And yeah, through that process of putting all that shit aside that I thought was going to save me or that I thought was working for me and having a new reality and state of beingness revealed, I have like little time, energy, attention, and patience for the nonsense. I have long game patience that the same people are going to be coming in and out of my life over a long period of time to get more of whatever it is they need. It's a bizarre dynamic, but it's never what they want. And they still haven't figured out. You're not here with me or in this reality to get what the fuck you want without addressing your needs first and foremost. That's why you guys always go into detraction with me and disempowerment. You fall short with me just like you fall short with the creator. You think that this was about the last 2 years, you becoming my best friend and getting whatever it is that you fucking want. It ain't what it is. The same thing I have to explain to Jennifer that she has to realize from time to time. Our relationship is never going past a certain point. We've had to be really real with each other on that. We're never going to have children or a family together. We can become family. We can work this process and this experience and be bonded in that. But you're never going to get what you want with me, ladies. So just cut the garbage, cut the games. The quicker we can get out of what we want that's not meant to happen into what we need, that's the reason we're all here, the quicker we can all actualize and realize and become what the fuck we're meant to become. This is why, again, most folks are not going to do well with me because I refuse to live by romanticism. I'm in stoicism, if anything. You know, I only see purpose and meaning and value system and principles, cause and effect, and energy exchange. You know, I'm not into the rest of the feelers and all. It doesn't serve me. If anything, it's been a disservice to me and others, our feelers and their deceptive ways. So I ain't in this necessarily like Jack Talcott for love and care. I'm in this for truth and what's real and what can be defined and demonstrated and repeated and resolved and reconciled. I'm in this for a life purpose and a life program and a life plan. I'm not in this for some fleeting emotion and feeling. Quite frankly, to me, being in this for love and care means what the fuck I just said. That's a man, if nothing else. I don't know about a woman completely. To a man, that's how we show love and care in a certain way. Getting up every day, going to work, creating something, being able to provide for ourselves and each other. Men don't show love like a woman does, sitting around doing their hair and sitting in their feelers. Again, quite frankly, a real woman doesn't do that. A real woman shows her love by getting the fuck up every day, cooking a damn meal, making a fucking home, caring for the children, being fucking presentable and respectable and attractive inside out, first and foremost, in the way that they're living and being. You guys want to tell me about a fleeting emotion and feeling that only comes about when you're doing and being what the fuck you're meant to do and be. How do you have love for yourself and each other if you're a loser, low-life, broke, dumb failure? How does that happen exactly? And why should it? These are the same people say, we're all equal, just love yourself, as the fat, fucking diseased, toxic, dysfunctional slave you are. No, that's not what this is. Recognize you ain't shit so you could become what you're meant to be, because you've been bullshitting and jacking off for so long, you can't tell right from wrong any longer. You're on such a fucking copium high. There is a cause and effect here. There's a fucking cold, harsh truth in reality here. There's expectations from the universe connected to you and it here. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. No one had to come into my life and tell me what the fuck's expected to me, from the universe. I just became aware of it and started to do it and be it.
I don't know what your reason is for not having kids, but there are.
My reason is that I have trauma from my birth. If we want to get completely behind the scenes, as I've said before, I have a big fear of co-creating a child with a woman who A, is not meant to be a mother, and B, could potentially become disabled along with the child. So I have not met a woman who was of age of conception, who was not completely fucked up on some level, and would present to me to be a burden or a liability. Jennifer's the closest thing that I've come, and she's not within the age of that activity.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
So believe it or not, there's few and far women on this land.
If
Say
it's
again?
a prison, why would we want to bring children into the world at all if we're living in a prison? We need to fix the prison first, and then we can start bringing new souls here.
Again, I don't necessarily go one way or the other. I get that it's a supernatural, even if you want to call it a bodily function, to at some point be activated by creation to bring in children. It's a natural call to an action. I've started to feel it more and more in myself as I've been aging, right? But again, then there's the conscious beingness that says, okay, I'm called by nature to bring in another life, whatever nature is, presuming it's a higher order or lower order. But yeah, there's the conscious side of things, where it's not even about the world. It's about the world we're creating in ourselves, in the home that extends out to the world we live in, right? So it's not as much of an issue to me if we're able to conceive and bring in new life into a healthy home with healthy parents who are doing and being what they need to be to show that to that being, so they can take that into the world and become something different and make a change for it. Right. But if we can't meet that principled first things first foundational state of beingness, well, then my nature has to take a back seat, because I'm a conscious being on some level. I'm not just going to submit to my nature like folks have told me in the past. They just got activated one day, grabbed somebody and impregnated them. And we know where that leads. Can't go that way. So, it's a little bit of formality, the way we're formed to be, and it's a little bit of faith combined with becoming. You have to do and be and become in order to get to a position where we call in that ideal mate to have children with. If not, you're just accepting whatever's around for you at the time, and we know where that ends. Pain, suffering, and court proceedings. And I'd say that's like a good majority of this public. They go off of what their feelers are, what their biology is, but they're very unconscious as to what the cause and effect and consequences are. And I'm not going to live like that. So I have to find a middle ground. I can't be scared to bring in children, and I can't completely submit to my nature and bring in children with just anybody. So that's where I consciously at this point have come to the point where I've talked with Jennifer about it. We're essentially open to that. I'm open to that, and I believe she's open to that. That's what she's shown, and that's what she said. So at some point, a woman will come into my life who will be fit to be a cosmic mother, to be able to work with me, my shortcomings at times, or my karma, and me work with hers, and have a relationship that can foster some level of conscious and aware and functional and healthy young being to come into existence. So I'm open to that, but I'm not going to force that, right? And the opportunities I've had with certain folks, I wouldn't take those opportunities beyond a certain point if I'm being realistic with myself. You know? And that probably just calls back to, as much as it's a blow to the ego or to the body's euphoria and sexual needs, if you're not going to bear children with a woman, why be sleeping with her or be sexual with her anyway, is the next question. You know, other than we enjoy being with different women, having different novel experiences, and experiencing the euphoria of intimacy or interaction sexually. But if that being is not competent and capable, and you're not seen as a potential future mother of your children, what would I be entering into a copulation scenario with that being anyway? And that's, again, a lot easier said than practiced. But apparently what I learned here is everything that's difficult or challenging to practice is worth it once you engage in it or master it, if that makes sense. So, Big O, yo, this guy's still here? He really has nothing else better to do? Chile has 2.5 viewers. Paulie has 3. I don't know what that means. There's 130 people here live and at least 1,000, 1.5 after the fact. What makes you think that numbers is the end all be all? Nicki Minaj and Drake and the rest of these loser failure clowns who have nothing to offer the world other than deviance have millions of viewers. You really can't be this. You're trying to, I think, get under my skin and trigger me for some reason, probably because you're jealous, envious, and hateful toward me, and you want to play this nonsense competition game. There is no competition between myself and Chili as men. Just go ahead and ask the folks in the chat, and I know what you'll say. If you go over there, they'll say the opposite over there. Right, but they're on the side of the majority. They're on the side of the statist democratic masses. They're on the side of the sheep slaves. You have awake, aware, inspired, empowered, careful, somewhat discerning people here at times. We're not the same. The audience is not the same over there. The presenter's not the same over there. And we're all reflections of each other in certain ways, whether it be creator here, an audience here, creator there, audience there, and even each other from across the aisle, if you want to call it that. There really is no other side. There's just different aspects of self. They're embodying low-level, worldly, follower, sheep, slave, statist consciousness and awareness. We don't do that over here. So you could argue in the eyes of God, that is a superior modality. We're the true, caring, correct, inspired, empowered, faithful over fear beings over here. That's what this fellowship is here. That's why when you come over here, you project from the antithesis. Right? You're constantly in fear and insecurity. You're in jealous, envious, hate, and desire, just like DeCastro. You won't do what's true and correct, but you'll project false strength and pretend you're doing that. And then you'll play to yourselves and each other in your power base for non-validation. Right? You're not proving anything here. You're not making any points. You're just showing that you're a dunce who's disempowered and has no purpose or meaning or life, like many of you who come here and do this. You're not really getting anything. Oh, I guess what it is they like when I go off on them partially. They like that because they know I'm telling them everything that's true and correct about them. Even if they laugh and giggle and go on with their day, they can't get enough of this raw, unfiltered truth, what they don't get at the other places where they idol worship, right? So even your spirit returns back here daily, knowing intuitively while you reject me and rebuke me that I'm more real, that I'm more honorable, that I'm more authentic, that I look you right in the face and talk from the fucking heart, good, bad, or indifferent. Your buddy DeCastro doesn't do that over there. Okay. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's a completely put on affect persona and beingness. Again, you want me to pull up the text messages where your boy got bitched out and bummed out and won't even respond to me because he's such a hoe? He can't talk to a man as a man. Right? And I'm sure he'll project onto me that I'm jealous and envious of him. If I am of the money and numbers, I quickly get back to the center core of my beingness, which you lack. The immediate realization that fiat and numbers do not make a man here. A man is judged by his values and principles and the way that he lives. That is where this game is won and lost. Also, by the way, I would rather be doing better than I've been doing, working the way that I am now, and still not have as much as them, because on my walk and journey, I've come to actualization and realization on some level and completion for the time being. So I'm not in competition with him and them. I'm only in competition with me, presuming I even want to compete. And on that level, I'm exactly where the fuck I need to be. You pointing to some other loser who hasn't begun this walk that I've begun yet because he has more money and numbers does not really mean anything to me. There's tons of folks in this life. Go pick someone who doesn't have, on a certain level, more money in certain ways, assets, and maybe numbers on YouTube than I do. But then let's throw us on the scales of justice. Who's more honorable? Who's more righteous? Who's more just? Who's more caring? Who's more authentic and truthful to themselves and their beingness and the objective macro truth? And you'll get your fucking answer there on true value and judgment. Okay? So one day you'll get out of your worldly, head up your ass, childlike state of beingness. You'll become a man and you'll realize without self-respect and respect from other real ones, you ain't shit. Go ask Jay-Z and Diddy and the rest of the clowns who got tons of numbers, sell tons of albums, got billions of dollars, but don't get respect in the streets where they want it from the most and where it counts. Because the folks who are really about it, who really live what they talk about, see right through them. See? You're not getting it. They'll get it at some point. A lot of these folks didn't have a daddy. They were raised by the military and the institutions. They never had a real salt of the earth, genuine, powerful, inspired man in truth. Give them the game and raise them to a higher state of consciousness and awareness. They've been lowered by their inauthentic corporate male and female parents and non-leaders and institutions and systems. They've been demeaned, devalued, and lowered in consciousness and awareness. That's proven. You can say, I'm saying all this, it's what I want it to be. Go to the statistics. The average 8 to 10-year-old, they say, is a genius. By the time you put them through primary school and middle school and high school, they become semi-retarded. That's mainline accounting of IQ, EQ, SQ. You can't argue with that because it's mainline. It's right from your institutions. So that's what you are. You are the example of the mass percentage of people who've gone to institutions and been turned into a semi-retarded adult. I'm an example of one they could never get to. They could never break this one. They could never train this one. They could never get this one to suck dick and deny the truth and then go around in jealous, envious hate trying to falsely equalize. No, it's the truth or nothing else. It's real and true to self or nothing else. It's discerning, definable, demonstrable, explainable, or nothing else. See? That's the difference between character and characterization. You folks run around this world characterizing yourself and others as something, and when we get to the character, it's emptiness and it's vapid. It's nothingness. I'm a scholar. I'm a journalist. I'm a YouTube content creator. Really? Really? Yeah, I didn't think so. It works for slaves like you, though. Right? Again, if I was one of them and I had a heart set like them, I'd have more numbers and money than DeCastro because I could lie and pimp and mac and grift better than any of them. I choose not to. I couldn't if I wanted to because I've had a change of heart and a change of vision. I've had a godly experience, as crazy as that is for me to say. No other way to explain it. Miraculous 180 in my beingness, in my lifestyle, my personality, and what's come forth and meant for me. Okay, so these folks have spent a whole life trying to latch on to a false persona to grift the rest of you out of the little you have. I've spent a whole life detracting and detaching from that world in order to cultivate an authentic state of beingness within me so I could come back to the world and actually respect myself and be respected by the few who matter. Please stop making false equivocations between liars, grifters, frauds, and cowards and the real bona fides, the real deal, Holyfield, as the man said earlier. It's embarrassing to you. It just proves you have no discernment, no character. It just proves that you will project to a fault to avoid having to look at who and what you are, what I am, and what the difference and similarities are. Kind of sad, kind of pathetic. Let's pray. Let us pray in the chat that the disempowered, disenfranchised, loser, failure, lying, cheating, abusive, cowardly grifters get their head out of their ass and come into alignment with honorability, truth, and good faith and have the same godly experience and 180 change to their personality and character to become what they've been formed to be in the womb, you could argue, actualized and realized as an honor-able, good faith, presentable man at court or in any venue. It's a process. We're working on it. Broken system, broken trust. Do you have anything, sir? Go ahead, Hefe.
Amen. Yeah, I'd love to have my brother back. Honestly,
Yeah,
if he
right.
could return to his pre-indoctrinated state and then grow from there. But I just, I don't expect it to happen, and I'm cool with that at this point. Yeah, go ahead.
Again, you got to get selfish sometimes in order to remain selfless. At the end of the day, I really can't care about what they choose to do and not do, and then have to live what's meant for them or what they've created that wasn't necessarily meant for them, but becomes their fate. Because at the end of the day, I get to be me and live the way I'm living and look me in the mirror now and know that I'm good. You have to be you. You can say that's egotistical, narcissistic, and prideful. I'm not in love with myself and my image. I'm in love with what the creator has blessed me with and revealed to me. A process, a procedure, an understanding. This ain't about Pauly Boy. Pauly Boy ain't shit without this other thing. That's the reality of it. And it's the same goes for you, whether you're aware of it or not, in your pride and ego. See, this is the absence of pride and ego. This is merging with superego. Total macro purpose and meaning and value, what needs to be done right now under God. You guys are the egotistical, prideful ones who want to make up a creational world in your own making and image. It's not real. It's not true. It's not beneficial to anyone. You're lying to yourselves and each other, and you're avoiding the real karma and work that's to be done here. You're not your own God, godless, faithless infidels. Pretty simple. You'll learn. The next 3 to 5 years is going to teach you motherfuckers, once again, historically, who and what you are and what you're not. And you're going to realize you're property of the God of this world, and you've never once attempted to rebut that presumption. You've gone deeper into that presumption and assumption and confirmed it, and you've rejected and rebuked the living God of creation and the law that we are meant to live in alignment with. It's clear as day. Hold on, let me help you out here, sir. I got it up here because this is DeCastro's again from yesterday, 2 days in a row. He's on overdrive grift mode. Okay, he's overdrive grift mode. Where is it? I got it somewhere here. Way down the list.
And while you're looking, I just like
I have it already, sir. What now? Mr. Lantow.
Yes. If
What's
the
going on?
person who was blocked yesterday, I just hope they know their right to free speech has not been violated. You can come up.
No. I'm going to stop you. I got to stop you because you're restreaming me, so this is technically my operation. You don't get free speech here. What made you think that on this platform where I have control and I get to censor and create the flow and present, that you folks get free speech and whatever else you don't stand on in your own life? Are you kidding? That's over. No. That time's over. You want free speech and rights. You exercise them in the real world. If you don't there, please don't look for them here because that's fucking hypocrisy. You're not going to come to where the person does live that, exercise it, and sacrifice for that while you don't, and then say you're going to stand for that here so you can use it as a power differential. No, you have little to no power here. I have it.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, you did invite them to come on the panel to talk.
Oh, yeah, you can have free speech to a limited degree on the panel. See, I've observed that inherent creational right on the panel. Right. But if you want to type and play games and detract and distract and interfere at what I'm doing, you get no freedom to do that. No, that's not how this works. When you step into the asylum to do the triggering work and fellowship, you don't get freedom to walk around and do whatever you want, play fucking games. You get told what's going to happen, or you get shown the cell door or the way out. Right. So we're here to do work. We're here to reflect. At times we have fun here. But we're not going to play the power games from the chat and then try to stand on rights online when you don't do it in real life just so you could create an equalization and power differential. No, that's not how that works. So if you're not living it completely, it's not getting observed here. And that's going to teach you what your future is going to look like in the real world. If you won't stand on rights, freedom, and principles, someone's going to tell you, here's the deal, here's how it's going to go. For today, I'm that person. Quite frankly, I might be one of the greatest people to entrust with your authority for your beingness. If you're going to do it at all, I'd say don't do it with anyone. If you're going to do it, I might be one of the few who you may be able to trust at times with that. You'll do it with Donnie. You'll do it with Joey. You'll do it with your local corrupt policy enforcing scum. You'll give your whole personal choice and conscience and life over to him. You won't do it with Paulie boy?
You'll do it with
I'm
Chili.
a good man. I have a good heart. You can trust me with that. You shouldn't do it, but you probably could trust me more than them, at least. I'd want to think. This person, they're not getting it. The Tards are not getting it. That's Joshua's channel, 7 watching. There's 130 over here. Everybody gets plowed down. Great superiority, master. I don't think so. You don't get. Could you please time him out? Because he thinks that I give a fuck that there's 7 or 3 watching. Now there's 2. Because he's going to block you now. Because I don't want to look at your nonsense. You're a punk coward statist. I'd bet anything on it. Here's the link. Go ahead and give them the link, Joshua, if they want to come on up. When they don't come on up, they're going to prove that they're a waste of everybody's time, energy, attention, and they're a fucking coward. They're not even worth being addressed. I treat you just like you beg your master to treat you while you pay for it, right? I'm giving you everything you beg for in your life and pay for. You don't like it here, though. It's weird. Really hypocritical, weird, and duplicitous. Okay, let's go to Chili DeCastro in ultra grifting mode. With the broken childlike look in his eyes. You notice every one of these content creators has this look. I can't even replicate it. It's like the broken child 101 syndrome. Every one of them has this mincing, sort of insecure, begging the audience and their cosmic daddies for validation while they present false strength. Every one of them has this broken childlike look in their eye. No acumen, no like fire, no care, no passion, no discernment, no focus. Just this, I'm in charge. I'm on the coffee table. Rights and freedom by getting your registration in Trifold. It's fucking pathetic and embarrassing. Look at it. Look at the look in their eye. Every one of them, the broken child mama spirit look in their eye. Every one of them. You can tell, just by looking at this character, you can tell he's going to mince and lisp and call everyone else a beta male while he's not doing and being and creating anything. And that's exactly what the average public wants. A Donald Trump-like fraud, a Joe Biden-like fraud who projects false strength, claims to be competent and capable, is a corrupt, whoremongering squanderer of cash on every level, begging the audience to support via power base and give them more shit to save them from themselves. You're all reflections of the same Babylonian archetypal beingness. Can't believe what I'm involved in here.
I'm in touchdown position right here.
Oh,
my hands look like they're a goalpost. This hand is actually, I took
no, you know what position you're in? It's amazing. I can't even write this shit. I couldn't have write it any better. He starts off there. It's God at work. It's God or the devil or both. No, you're in the position you get in when the position and not touchdown when they get in like this, and the man's got his hand right up under the nutsack and almost up the ass of the other man. You're not in touchdown position. You're in receiver position. You get what I'm saying? Receiver. That's the position you're in. Bent the fuck over. Your hands are deep in another man's asshole, right up under his nutsack, and you're just dying to receive more slavery. Then you're going to vomit it back out. Just one big game playing, one big pit of game players and frauds, and just spitting and spewing nonsense. And a good 1,000 people today are going to buy into this and buy a trifold to end up in jail and have to sell their house to get an attorney to get them out with 2 weeks left.
Right.
It's easier to fool them than it is to convince them they've been fooled. Why am I such an idiot? Why won't I just grift on these dumb, pathetic slaves, get $1 million, and then the rest of my audience, it'll be a wink and a nod, right? We just start to build a whole different aspect of self on this broadcast, pander to all the weak, pathetic slaves who are desperate to be grifted on, make a whole bunch of cash, wink and nod, and then just appropriate it right back over to the community, right? And then I guess that's the way the world works. You know, for the ones who can see and live, you give them the real. For the ones who are desperate to be beaten and whipped and grifted on, I guess you never give a sucker an even break. You never smarten up a chump. You just pimp on them. Like they say on the street, when you meet a broken hoe who won't have it any other way, you pimp on them. Because if you try to tell them to be anything other than a broken hoe, they'll slap you in the face. and keep it moving. So what's the point? May as well just pimp on all the broken hoes and get it how you live, and then keep it moving and have a different aspect of self for the real ones. You know, let's go back to touchdown receiver position.
This is how I use my trifold. If anything happens to me, I'm all set right here.
Yeah, you're all set.
Okay, now
you're all
now
set.
That I got
All
this
right.
like this, my camera's rolling. Most important thing. Second thing.
Every video now has to have this intro, grifting overdrive,
right
selling
there.
trifold.
You see that? My elbow goes in the windowsill right there. There it is.
That's
right
the best
there. Now, with this hand up in the air and this hand up in the windowsill right here, I'm all set.
You're all set. You're ready to be arrested and ran through the ringer and shit on and talked down to, enslaved, and never speak for yourself. And then the next part is going to go, now, he's describing how your hands have to be for all the dumb chimpanzees who are just following implicitly with nonsense, right? You can't buy entertainment like this, just grifting and you know that he sits there and counts money and laughs. You dumb fucking slaves. This shit didn't even work for me, and yet you're buying this shit from me because I popped out and acted faithful and empowered while I was crying the whole time at court and in the jail, acting like a bitch. Now that I popped out, I'm strong again. Buy my trifold so you can win/lose like me. I can't believe. And then he's now going to go in the next statement, like, because we saw this yesterday. Every broadcast now from here on out has to have trifold grifting the first 10 minutes, apparently. Got to get them trifolds sold. We're sitting on a lot of them. He's now going to direct you on how to reach up to the headrest and get your license, registration, insurance, and all your corporate identifiers to prove you're a code-following slave of the legal system, and just hand that right over while you open your trifold and start reading off the list. Seriously, could you guys, whoever's buying this crap, come over here and give me a bit? I'll pay you. Like, what do I have to pay you to get you DeCastro cult members over here so I could do a bit with you? Like $50, $100? What do I have to give you to put your fucking retardation on display and mock and humiliate you in front of my audience so we can get a good fucking laugh and also remember why we're not living like you? So we could be reminded why we're doing the rest of this shit that at times we doubt or question. Why are we going to jail? Why are we standing our rights and freedoms? Why are we rebuking all the status contracts? Oh, that's right. Because the alternative to be like this beta male bitch boy and wind up like that in life. Right. Could we get some of you over here as a living example, an expose of what to do and what not to do and how retarded and ridiculous you all are? I'll pay you. That should wake a lot of you up. I'll pay you. It's never about the truth and what's right, but if I give you some of this, you'll show up for yourselves and each other, at least for a little bit, right?
I'm going to do
just request a 1% royalty.
Reach down and slightly roll my window down.
I'm not even going to talk. I'm going to play it for another 3 to 5 minutes. Just get a load of it. I want you to get a load of it.
Camera. This hand is up here so that I can reach up and grab my trifold and my proof of identification.
I want to reach up and grab you.
Everything is up in my visor. When that copper comes up to my window and he says, "Do you know I pulled you over? Do you know how fast you were going? How come you didn't pull over right away?" If he says, "Hey, can I get your license, registration, and proof of insurance?" Great, because this hand is not going to have a camera in it. The one that I got my hand in now, my camera's in this. My camera's in this hand over here. I'm in touchdown position, just like a goalpost. Now, from right here, I'm going to reach over, and I'm going to, with the same hand that this phone's in, I'm going to reach over and grab my license, registration, and proof of insurance that is in my trifold right here. It's inside my trifold. Here's my license, registration, and proof of insurance right there. I got everything right there. See how that works? I'm just going to slide that bad chicken out. There's everything I have to provide by law right there. License, registration, proof of insurance. I have everything right next to my trifold. Now, no matter what he says from there, I don't care what he says. How fast were you going? Are you going to your grandma's house? Are you the big bad wolf? No matter what he says, I'm not going to answer any of his questions. I take my license, registration, proof of insurance that will be in my left hand, and I give it to him. You got it on video? Not your actual. No, that's not that, but that's got my DL number right on the top. Okay. D1940.
So you have your actual driver's license?
Well, I mean, that is an actual photocopy of my driver's license, a laser copy. Actually, if I take the rest of the tape off there, it looks prettier than my actual driver's license. There you go. I don't want to deal with he didn't identify himself. He didn't have his registration. He didn't have his current ID. He didn't have his current insurance card. No. I have everything ready to go. It's right here. with the same hand right here, I'm going to take it like this, and I'm just going to slip my information right out the cracked window for that jackboot thug pig. Put it in the comment section. JBTP, jackboot thug pig. Put it in the comment section. I don't have a back and forth with the pig. I don't do that. I do not have a back and forth with that pig. Where are you going? Where are you heading? All that? Nothing.
Right. Totally makes sense. It's totally not the opposite of what we do here, but it makes sense, right? Just give all those contracts and corporate identifiers over and then call him a jackboot thug pig, right? He's totally not an agent trying to get you guys deeper in jurisdiction and get you fucked enslaved while they claim I'm doing that. Like, I'm actually saying to everyone, hey, if you do this walk and you do activism and rights and freedoms, you might get harmed. You might have to go to jail. That's what activism is. He's like, we're activists, not activists. Give them everything they need to have jurisdiction over you, enslave you, and then get belligerent and combative with them on top of it. Worst fucking advice ever. You'd have to be the biggest fucking retard to listen to what any of this fucking beta male, mincing, lisping coward has to say. And the fact that he won't answer me or come on this broadcast is proof of who and what they are once again. Running, lying, fearful cowards who bullshit everyone that they're able to. And when they can't bullshit you, they block you. And they ignore you. And they act like the truth in reality doesn't exist anymore, because it doesn't in their fucking culted echo chamber, where accountability is frowned upon, where the words and terms and meanings and foundations of laws, it's frowned upon to talk about that and bring up what yous are all doing and being. Right. So just make sure you do that. Say what?
Why does he have such that, that feminine tonation too in his voice? You can just hear.
Because he's
it.
raised by his mama. His daddy went to prison when he was a young boy for drug trafficking. That's the story he told. His daddy was someone involved with the Medellin people, the Castro, right? So hello, there's a good chance that literally by bloodline, this guy comes down through the ranks as an actual politico and agent. Don't want to bring that up, but everyone kind of just ignores that, like, we could go over to Trudeau, how they show the picture of Trudeau and De Castro. They look exactly alike. The guy from Cuba. So I don't know. Why is it always these guys with the bright white smiles that have the last name Castro, are raised by their mama, are all effeminate and have ties to drug trafficking politicos and agents? I don't know. Maybe because we're in a beast system simulation realm where you're already in judgment. We're all not equally yoked because apparently some of us are chosen to do this and some are chosen to do that. I can't explain it. Later Gators. There you go. He loves his daddy and his effeminate ways. Later Gators. What grown man says that? Do you realize if you brought De Castro in front of his father, who was a drug trafficker and a politico, he'd probably spit in his face for being a bitch? That's the reality of it. I'm not saying I'm even into that or that's cool, but that's the reality of it. If you took De Castro, who's raised by his mama, who's lisping and mincing and has the spirit of his mama and is a fucking coward who lets other men talk for him till he doesn't want to, right? If you brought him in front of his father, who probably had to kill people and go to war and go sit in prison, and he heard him say later Gators, he'd go, I failed as a father. The reality of it. Okay? Don't want to hurt everyone's feelings here. I know that's kind of politically incorrect what I just said right there. It's going to hurt feelers. What man shows up with red glasses and says later Gators?
Sorry, it seems like it's a learned trait to talk like that. Like you pick it up from being around gay dudes or females. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's not even about homosexuality. It's about your influences growing up. These people, these men grew up under the dress at the knees of some woman who they've taken all their cues from mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. They're now running around acting like women, thinking that they're men. Like how a woman would think a man acts, that's how they act. You're a beta, I'm masculine, on the side of the road, getting in the cop's face. The cop's looking at him like, what's your deal, bro? I'll beat the shit out of you in 3 seconds. Who are you pretending with? He's in the cop's face. You're scared of me because I have broad shoulders and I'm an alpha. And the cop's like, okay. Do you really want me to go here with you? And then it's reach right up and touchdown position. Grab your identifiers of your corporate slavery. Grab all your contracts to the state of. That's exactly what a bitch would do. Go slave up to the state, have all the identifiers and corporate contracts, want to live a life of safety and comfort while popping shit and acting like they're willing to sacrifice. It's hoe shit. This is hoe logic on every level. Even down to the way these motherfuckers sound and look and present. Red glasses as a man, tight muscle shirt, later gators. What are we doing? What is this? This is the new world and the modern day man. Completely devoid of any logic, reason, ethics, morals, or masculinity, claiming to be an alpha. You fucking cried after 3 days in the fucking holding tank. Looked like a fucking pile of wet rags at court. You should see how I showed up to court after 3 days in the box with the light on, 24 hours. I showed up like fucking Columbo the gorilla. I could tell the lady was looking at me like, who's this fucking guy and where did he just come out? I had the orange suit on and everything. I surprised myself how I came at that court because I was in some fear. I was crying into my pillow. I don't front on anybody. Like I tell you guys, you want to cry? Cry in your fucking pillow in the cell. When they crack that gate and it's time to go in the main room or it's time to go to court, you better have your fucking eyes on and your head on straight. Time for that shit's over. You motherfuckers don't understand emotional regulation and self-control and self-mastery. That's the bottom line of it. And you damn sure ain't ready to go to war. So I don't know what the point of popping all that shit is. You're going to be crying in your fucking milk behind enemy lines at some point. You can't even handle crying in your fucking pillow, bucking the fuck up, hitting that fucking door in that gate and coming out with some kind of real deal presentment and actualization. Some kind of internal guidance system and steadfastness and focus. You just don't have it. And that's why when you show up at court, they look you up and down and go exactly like I do. You're a bitch ass motherfucker. What do you got to say? My attorney, I'm pleading not guilty. I want rights, but I got corporate identifiers and privileges and benefits. I'm on the phone pretending to be a scholar and a journalist complaining about shitting in front of other men. I'm crackling and popping. Could you send me a green dot? Thank you, Gators. I need money. I'm selling board games next. Are you kidding me? There's literally sitting like this in the fucking bubble going, you hear this bitch ass motherfucker, Tony? You hear him? They're in jail every day working there. Don't even want to be there. You're crying and acting like a bitch when you claim to be a scholar and an activist. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously. This is how you would imagine Montesquieu and John Locke and all the other people he quotes. This is how you imagine a Christed being. You just don't get it. And your fucking audience is so embarrassing and pathetic. They're never going to get it. They run around here sucking off of the history and the past of a Christed being and Christed beings who stood for what's true and what's real and sacrificed and died and went to a fucking box and did it willingly, thankfully, gratefully, with honor, knowing that there was no other position to play. And you're whining and crying back there and on the phone every 5 seconds and begging for fucking money and trying to grift board games from a cell, telling us what Ayn Rand taught you about being a fucking man. Christ almighty. When you got to quote a bitch who's more of a man than you, you know you're in trouble. That's the reality of it. Ayn Rand and women from the past are more fucking honorable and discerning and steadfast and focused than you bitch ass beta males in the modern day wanting to claim to be alphas. This is why I say, my bitch Jennifer's more of a man than you are if we want to do ego and pride. And I'm not saying that like she's a man. She's a woman. I'm saying when it comes to honor and good faith and presentability and having to go past her fears in faith and not have anyone to count on and rely on. I watched her sit in a fucking box for 3 days and have nothing but herself and that God and that faith. She wasn't on the phone every 3 seconds, crying, begging for money. You fucking punk ass coward, grifting scum, Babylonian, Luciferian trash. Got women in my life who are more stand up than you. If we were ever in a situation, I pass the gun to my bitch before I pass it to you, you coward ass motherfucker who's inactive, unresolved, undisciplined, unwilling. If you're not unable, you're unwilling. We'll get there one day. Daddy's going to get you right. Uncle Paulie boy. Stepdaddy's going to get you right. Say again?
He's the type of guy to throw you under the bus like at the drop of a hat.
Of course. You go to the cell with this bitch-ass motherfucker, it'll only be a couple hours before they're letting him out, and you got double the charges. It's the reality of it. after he hands all his license, registration, insurance, and corporate identifier. You Nazi redcoat scum. It's what the majority of folks have become. And I'm not going to hold my tongue on it. Nazi, fascist, redcoat, collectivized scum. Anything but American. Pick it. That's you. Go ahead, sir. I noticed you were leaning there.
Chomping at the bit a little bit. I was kind of chomping at the bit, but I'm making a video specifically for this broadcast. I'm uploading it right now. So when you see the icon up, I've been working. I'm putting together a video that you got to see. Hold on. You'll love it.
All right. He's always telling me what he's going to do. You notice that? Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. This is going to happen. I'm like, okay, I'll be here when it does. I don't trade. I trade on what I have, not what's going to be. You know, like the American Nationals. I don't deal with any of them anymore, but I used to talk to some of them and they would all, any day, Paulie boy, we're going to get the vendor card and be able to buy whatever we want with our trust and our social security number. I go, yeah, that's great. I go, and make sure if you do somehow, some way, pull this rabbit out of a hat, you fucking abuse it and show them exactly who and what you are and always have been. Because, you know, like Wizard and Talcott and the rest of them, if you gave them that trust card and gave them access to buy shit off of their trust, all of a sudden they got shrimp and lobster. They got a Lamborghini. They got a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house for themselves. That's the kind of worldly Babylonian, Luciferian scum you're dealing with, who can't create or do shit on their own without the system while they bitch and complain about it, even though it's their daddy, right? They constantly bitch and complain about what their daddy, the system, has given and built and done for them that they can't do on their own. And then if they were to get access to that trust and be able to write off all the debt with the legal trust account and the Social Security accreditation, right? The crediting app, you know who and what they are and what they would do. Immediately show why they weren't given the responsibility of doing that in the first place, because they'd all live beyond their means, all try to have shit that they don't need to have to try to, like a child, fulfill themselves and validate themselves. Beyond embarrassing and pathetic. I can't say it enough. Can't say enough. Let's go back. Touchdown position. Reach up. Reach up.
No, I'm not going to answer any questions.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to entertain it. Not going to nod. Nothing.
Right.
I'm going to give him my license, registration, proof of insurance. I'm just going to slip it right there.
You didn't do any of that. You cried and you did whatever they said.
My registration.
You were real tough on the side of the road. You're real tough on the side of the road, big badass. And then when you went to court, you folded like a cheap card table and showed us the bitch that you are.
Insurance. Here's the rental car agreement. And my driver's license is right here.
If you're poor and white or black or brown, don't reach around.
Don't reach around. There you go. Is Paul hating the game? Oh, yeah. If you can't hate the player, you got to hate the game, right? I guess if you're going to characterize this as hate, I mean, I have to do a broadcast. It has to be inspiring to me. It has to be controversial at times. It has to be like get people's attention and hold their attention. And this is my way of doing it because this is authentic to me. This is something I can look at and comment on and see the clear line of distinction. But I'm not necessarily in hate. But if you want to claim that I'm in hate, well, I'd have to hate the game, right? I can't hate the player, as the saying goes. So, yeah, I guess I'm hating on the game and the fact that in this simulation, this is what it has been and seemingly always will be, even though more is available. All right, it's the juxtaposition of self versus no self, ego, wants, and desires versus reconciliation and acceptance. I'm constantly on this broadcast, I guess, displaying the inherent war within that either is potentially there or I could, find within me and then express. Believe it or not, when I'm not doing this broadcast, and again, we'd have to bring Jennifer or someone else to give their third-party impartial, sort of critique, but I'm not as necessarily animated. I don't really get fired up and I don't get into this mode because I just focus on myself and what I'm going to do or not do, or I just surrender and don't even put my time, energy, attention most times on other folks. When I do, this is what you get. Because, yeah, I do care about the truth. I do care about us all being Americans and being free and having rights and personal choice as a body, I guess. As a spirit, I've reconciled that the majority and the masses have never and probably will never actualize and realize they don't care to, they don't feel they need to. Like you said, hate on the game. As long as the bread and circus is here, the coliseums are here, the big numbers of audience, tards are here, and the money keeps rolling in for the shitty products, They're going to keep doing it, you know? So then, like, again, other than doing the broadcast and pointing this shit out and ruffling feathers and giving folks informed consent and an opportunity to choose, beyond that constant dynamic that goes on here at times is just acceptance and reconciliation and resolution for oneself, and surrender that they're going to be what they're going to be and they're going to get the judgment they're meant to get. I don't have to do anything really, but then I wouldn't have a broadcast. You know, it's kind of weird. Like doing what I do here, I almost can't live my truth the way that I do away from here and practice all of what I preach, because then I would cease to have a broadcast. I would just be in constant faith and acceptance and surrender, and let everything work itself out the way it works out, which I practice most of my life. When I come on here to do the broadcast, it's Pauly Boy's a curmudgeon. Pauly Boy's got some things that he doesn't like to see. Pauly Boy's going to speak it and call it out, if for nothing else, to entertain himself and others, and to give folks informed choice and consent about who or what to do and be with, be like, invest in or not. And again, the funny part about it is I became aware at some point that the more I come on here and the more that I talk and babble, the more I almost cut myself off from investors of me in certain ways, because I've noticed it. You don't think I'm good with patterns? If I was really about the money, I'd come on here 1 hour a day. I'd keep it brief. I wouldn't do more than 10 to 15 minutes of these harangues, and the rest would just be clips and focusing on whatever I'm doing. And I'd get way more support and contributions. The fact that I'm willing to hate on the game and at times call people out and ruffle feathers and be the bad guy in this non-living truth community, it's almost like it is, like the man said, it's a gamble for me. It's a high. And it's only that it's based in truth as I see it, right? Whether there's a bit of ego overlay or not, a bit of false pride or not, right? I mean, there's times where you wake up in this reality and you question yourself, you know, even if it's for a moment. What's the point of this? Whether it's living true and for rights and freedoms and going to jail over and over again, doing a broadcast. I mean, shit, you could look at anything and go, really, what's the point of this? You know, but again, what I've learned in life is you got to stay focused. You got to create something. You got to stay busy on some level until you don't. Next right thing oftentimes to do, maybe nothing. You know, sit back, be introspective, reflective, reformative. But yeah, as a practice for me to stay focused, to stay busy, to create something every day, to be a part of something, to show up for myself and others, to give away value and watch it come back or not. It's one big game for me. It's one big process for me. It's only because on some level, barring the extras, the core of what I'm doing is centered on a truth that I think is magnificent, miraculous, and life-changing. And quite frankly, the only thing that we need here and now in order to make this whole thing go away or become better, if you will. It's like the answer to all of our problems, this way to the way. And again, maybe that's just my delusion. That's my coping mechanism. That's my trip. I can't bring anything here other than what I've experienced and what works for me at times till it doesn't. So I liked Bryan's interview with you. Right. But that's the thing, sir. Right. Like this is the thing. You guys are not getting there's different aspects to Pauly Boy like there is to everybody. I just show consistently certain aspects of self here. It's what I believe is the best broadcast for whatever I have. I may not have much to do or show. So for me, for the limited tools that I am and have, what I do here is what I believe to be the best of a bad lot, if you will, for just what I have to offer. You know, and again, at some point there may be more arc in the story, right? Like when I get back on the land, it's just, again, I'm so focused on these core values and principles that to me, doing a broadcast on gardening and growing reefer and doing diners, drive-ins and dives and whatever else my story arc could be here that incorporates other content, it's just a lesser experience for me. Like I go, there's probably people out there who'd like that and want that and it'd be refreshing, but I guess I just can't get motivated enough to do and be that. This is the one thing, this set of 3 to 5 things that I can literally come on every day or wake up every day and go, oh, there's something here. Oh, I'm inspired. I'm motivated here. Oh, I'm frustrated here. You know, I look within and I go, where am I a bit frustrated authentically at what I'm seeing and what I'm living with? And is that appropriate, right? Or is that something that I should mitigate and try to purge? You know? So I still haven't completely answered that question. because it would seem to me that if it were not for my frustration, I would never have even started or continued the path of actualization and realization. So oftentimes I have to look back because folks like Slavecott and the rest will try to convince me while they're extremely frustrated that frustration has no place along with anger in this realm. I don't necessarily contend that to be true. Anger and frustration may be the core building blocks of what it takes for a motherfucker to transcend and transmute and go to the next level. You know what? I'm sick and tired of the way I'm living in these motherfuckers. You know what? I'm frustrated in the fact that I can't get any traction and momentum in my life and I'm not respected in myself or my community. I'm going to do and be something different. Frustration and anger, what they keep telling everybody to try to purge, might be the foundational building blocks to really go into the next level inside of yourself and in this life. I'm open to that and I'm accepting of that if that's objectively true. And the only way we're going to find out if it's not is if someone else comes forth with more results and experience and resolution and resolve and faith over fear who didn't use that as the foundational building blocks of their change. Right? And maybe even to continue moving forward. Hey, if you don't like what you're experiencing, you can ignore that you don't like it, or you can work for the rest of your life to fucking change it. Even if you don't change it, you still gave yourself purpose while you're here. A man without purpose is not a man. At least that was my journey. When I didn't have purpose and meaning, value systems and principles in my life, I was a drifter, low-life scum. And I wasn't worth anything in my pockets or in my spirit. That's just my opinion of me. So forgive me if I project that same opinion of me and process with me onto you folks if it's not applicable. And I'm more than willing to listen to and, more importantly, look at results and responses that are not in line with that modality so I can learn. But if you ain't got that, I'm going to tell you you're full of shit. Is really where we settle on. Is you have anger, you have frustration, you have righteous indignation. And instead of you building on that shit and working off that, and create a new beingness that created a new world for you to feel more in alignment with your true self and core, you'd rather purge that and ignore that and pretend it's not there because you're all love and light and enlightened bliss ninnies. Give me a fucking break. Then I push your buttons for 3 seconds and you show what's in the core of you every fucking time. With that nonsense. Every one of you hippie bliss ninnies who talk about love and peace and all the rest of it and how Paulie's so angry. I just push 2 or 3 buttons on you in truth and we watch. You squeeze that orange and all the juice comes out. Well, what comes out was already in there. Cut the bullshit. I'm just real about who and what I am and where I'm at. And I'm exploring myself in this life. Right. And it ain't over yet. Far from it. I'm doing pretty damn good. If we want to be objective, I'm only 35 years old. Jennifer said it to me yesterday. She had to remind me of some shit that I don't even look at about me. I don't really give myself too much credit. They do it. And then I have to look at it and go, okay, there might be some truth to that. And then I just move past it. If I'm 35 years old and I can understand how myself and the world works on some level and speak it and live it and be true to myself and get results and be able to have everything I need and then some, I say I'm way ahead of the fucking game. I say there must be something really bad potentially coming for me in my future for me to finally get my life together in this fashion. It's one of those stories. If you'd have seen me before, that's really the problem. You motherfuckers don't know who and what I was and have been. If you saw me before, you go, holy shit, I see why Polyboy has little to nothing else to talk about here. You know, I'm surprised at my change and my story arc and the opportunities that have been put before me. So much so, I don't even know how to process it completely. I don't even know what to do next, if there's anything to do next. You know? So, yeah, this is like, to me, this broadcast has become, at some point, I've equated it to a rehab. Because, again, I have to talk from what I have experience with. That should give you a clue on my life history. That I had to talk from experiences, one of which, the few of which, being my career in drug use, right? Didn't have much other career, many other things. So for me, it's very reminiscent of coming to the institution, to the rehab, for us to do reflection and introspection therapy. And some guy who's an addict getting up in front of the room and going, this is who and what I am. This is my addiction. This is the strength of me. This is the weakness of me. This is the acceptance of me and surrender to a higher power. And this is where I'm taking me in the future, or where I'm at now. And by virtue of that being showing up for himself and others and doing that, everyone in the audience says, well, maybe there's something in him or a part of his life I can relate to and resonate with and do something with. You know? Go ahead, Broken System, Broken Trust. If you got anything, I see you swaying there in the breeze. I'm almost knocking you over with all this hot air and rambling.
I mean, it's the truth. So I mean, just keep spitting. When you're doing this, you're doing your thing. The video that I put in the backstage, we're definitely going to need a proper setup to it so that I can clip it. But it's like the difference.
The top one or the bottom one?
Top one, I believe. It should be.
They're both the same. It looks like.
But yeah, because with this YouTube stuff, like you got to get right into it. What I realized with my shorts is that you just got to hit the highlight. That's all you got to do. Oh, there we go.
All right. So this is called "What's the Difference Between Me and You?"
Are you crying?
Yes.
Are you crying? Are you crying?
No.
There's no crying. There's no crying in foosball.
You fucking cried after 3 days in the fucking holding tank. Looked like a fucking pile of wet rags at court. You should see how I showed up to court after 3 days in the box with the light on.
Please, is there anything I can do, sir? Please.
Does he look like a bitch? What?
Don't do this to my wife, man. You don't know what you're doing to my family, man.
Does he look?
Wait a second. Isn't that your boy from Long Island Audit or whatever it is? He was begging like that? Bro, we're not doing machismo and bravado. I'm really not a tough guy. I'm not.
Yeah, no.
I'm more of a lover, oddly enough, than I am a fighter, I think. But that's him. After all the shit popping and talking to them cops the way he does and dismissing motherfuckers, soon as he gets them bracelets, please, can I suck dick? Is there anything I can do is where I'm from? You literally just offered to blow that officer to let you out of cuffs. What the fuck is this? I can't believe you just showed that to me. You might have just ruined the rest of this. I was going to say the rest of my day. That's not going to happen. I wouldn't let that. You might ruin the rest of my broadcast and upset me again. I can't believe what I'm witnessing. These are guys who have millions of dollars, got millions of views. They're known as heroes and leaders of this community. And as soon as they get put in cuffs, is there anything I can do? Please, my family. You don't do this then if that's the outcome. Don't do this. Go work at Sonic. Pay your taxes. Be a nice boy that you are. A lot of you guys are nice boys. I've not. I've never been a nice boy. I've never played well with others, apparently, is what I'm told. I've had to learn a lot about me by what other people tell me about me for the longest time. They tell me I'm not a nice boy. I don't play well with others. I'm not a team player when it comes to playing on teams with you people the way you are. Great team player when there's something to sacrifice for and there's a bond and loyalty. When it comes to this, no, can't. I don't want to live that way and look like that. If that's how I'm going to look when I get put in cuffs for the first time after a whole career of popping shit, I just go work at the movie theater. Hey, guys, take your tickets just right this way. D5. It's D2 through D5. Right there. There you go. I just go work on an airline, you know? Guys, right. Exits up front, on the sides, round back, front and back. Okay. We're going to do the, I can't show that on camera. I have nothing else around me. We're going to do the seatbelt. Okay. Stick with me here. We're going to get off the ground. Captain's got some refreshments coming around for you.
I'm in touchdown position.
I'm in touchdown position. Exits up front, sides, round back, and you're going to see the illuminated walkway. In case of an emergency, I want you to grab all your belongings, and I want you to look right down at the lighted walkway. That will indicate the nearest exit for emergency. God, this is just, it's pathetic. And that's the only two adjectives that I keep using. I've noticed that. The last 2 months, I only have two things to say: pathetic and embarrassing. When they make the Paul Enslaved bobblehead doll that you press the button on the back, it's going to say pathetic, embarrassing. And then you hold it up to people like that. Dude,
the video will cure all of our illness.
I'm fascinated. I can't even believe that that's the same guy. And he would do that on camera too. There's no dignity and shame in these people. There's no humbleness to God and the truth. And you've literally seen me half a dozen times get arrested, then put the camera down and me just go, you know what I'm doing here, right? And you know why I'm doing it? Okay, take me to jail. Like Henry Hill said, remember, we grew up on that. This is another guy, Italian guy. If we're going to do machismo, bravado, this guy I'm pretty sure is an Irish Italian guy from the East Coast. Grew up on Goodfellas like the rest of them. You don't remember that? He takes the pill, says, now take me to jail. There's no crying in baseball and in going to jail. You cry in your pillow once you get there. And there's no reason for anyone to know about it. It's between you and God. God help these people. They just don't have what it takes, I don't think, and they're not going to get it. If you've given all this money and numbers and clout and you're still that much of a bitch, I don't know what's going to motivate you and inspire you. If you ain't got faith, and all this worldly attention and money and benefits and privileges ain't going to inspire you and motivate you to be the man you're meant to be, I don't know what it's going to fucking take.
Like a bitch.
Sir, please don't make me sleep in jail tonight, sir. I'm begging. We're not criminals. They're gonna make me sleep in jail.
Continue. You were saying something about best intentions.
Josh has never been arrested for recording.
Okay, so that's him getting arrested, and then his friend here makes a phone call that I want to touch on.
Hello, Josh told me to call you. He just got arrested. They issued a warrant because they didn't want to let him in with his camera.
Because they didn't want to let him in with his camera. No, they didn't want to let him in with the camera recording. So let's just get that right.
It's like when the frauditors say, oh, well, I got arrested for recording. No, you didn't get arrested for recording. You got arrested for trespassing or obstruction. Those are usually the crimes that frauditors get arrested for.
Because they didn't want to let him in with his camera. No, they didn't want to let him in with the camera recording. So let's just get that right.
It's always his behavior and his actions while recording. Or
Okay, that's another one. K4. Could you be any more mincing and effeminate? They all got to have the tattoos. Notice Paulie doesn't have any tattoos on him because he doesn't have to pretend and fake the funk. I don't have one tattoo on me because it doesn't make me a man. You mincing, chubby, soft little queer boys, and I'm not talking about sexuality either. Talking about this toxic feminine aspect of all you guys. This smarmy, smug, mincing, snaky affect, the neck cocking that we know. At one point I had to reveal the trademark move of the inauthentic corporate beta male, the neck cock, because they're so just weak on their foundation and their center. They all naturally do a neck cocking action. It makes it a lot easier for them to blow the officer when they got to get out of trouble. You know? Oh my God. Josh doesn't ever get arrested for recording. It's his behavior while he's recording. Could you sound any more like the mother I didn't have? Could you sound any more like a big bitch? What man says that? It wasn't for the recording. It was for the behavior while recording. No, it's because we're in contractual, either forced or willing, slavery and bondage and sorcery and mockery. If you haven't noticed, we're all going to the same place on the land and the hereafter, one way or the other. Have you not noticed that? All the earshotters. Man. Okay.
So what
you know what? I kind of want to hear
overall?
I like that. Could you do more of that? Whatever that was.
Okay, yeah.
I'm entertained.
You noticed that was your broadcast. Yeah, that was your broadcast.
Why do you think? This is why they'll say to me, Sophia and the rest of these, bless their heart, these gullible women, but we're all on the same side. No, we're not. Even God shows you we're not. God literally, the universe brings this crap to these people to prove to them, you don't want to play Paulie Boy's videos and promote him in the business world. Whatever, don't do it. But you're not going to pay the homage and the respects to the folks who are really doing and living this shit while you want to audit for a check. Guess what's going to happen to Castro and the other guy and the rest of you who think you're too cool for school and too comfortable? You're going to jail. And we're going to watch you cry and beg and act like a bitch and rebuke the living God and the truth and hire other men to talk for you, which is just putting you on record for all the audience of who not to watch and listen to, who not to support. And it doesn't matter if they do it more. They all just put themselves in judgment. Don't just get it. What we're really here doing, we're convicting all of you. It's not about what I want and don't want. I've had to surrender that over and over again to go to jail, dumbasses. You think I live my life by what I want, even if it's part of the time, and I'm not able to drop it like a hot potato at any time to do what's necessary and what I know is right? Yeah, that's self-mastery. So even if there's an aspect of me with wants, I drop it in 3 seconds and it's revealed to me, all we're doing here is testifying, putting all of us on record, and then going through collective judgment together. If you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. What do you think that this means about you and says about you? If you're willing to take millions of dollars, take all these offers and benefits and privileges, get all the numbers and attention, do little to nothing with it other than aggrandize yourselves and your brand, ignore motherfuckers who are really about it, sacrificing over and over again, and then you think nothing's going to happen to you on top of it in your ignorance and arrogance and disloyalty? Don't bet on it. What happens to the least of us will happen to all of us on some level. Blessed are those who are prosecuted and persecuted. The money and the numbers is not going to make up for the loss of soul and self-respect and dignity and humbleness and humility before the creational force, not before other men for whom there is no salvation. I don't have to be humble and dim my light in front of you weak-ass, cowardly motherfuckers who haven't done shit yet. And then when you're in the middle of you grifting, you get arrested and want to cry and beg. You're a detriment to this community. You're the reason the courts don't respect many of us. You're the reason they call us sovereign citizens. You're the reason they want to push our buttons and test us and try us, because you taught everyone that we're a bunch of bitches and hoes. Then I have to explain to them, I ain't them. They ain't my people. They're a bunch of grifters and frauds online trying to make money to talk some shit that they don't even know about, citing code and Supreme Court cases. They ain't my people. They don't live how I live. You could tell by when they get put in cuffs the difference, if nothing else. They all want to say we're on the same side. Conceptually, yes. Theoretically, yes. In the way that we live and perceive and the results, absolutely not. We're miles apart. You guys are a fucking embarrassment. I wouldn't be seen within 5 miles of you. I wouldn't want the court to associate me and my name with your name any fucking day of the week. I don't give a fuck how many bitches you fuck. I don't give a fuck how cute your broad is that popped them children out. I don't care how nice that house is with a picket fence. It don't mean a motherfucking thing to me. That's it. That's what I love. I love when you bitch ass motherfuckers get put in cuffs right alongside of me. And then we get to see who and what everyone really is at their core, what they're really about, what they're really loyal to, how they're really living. I love that process and that part of the game, even if I don't like it. You guys never fail to disappoint. A man is judged by when you give him power. You guys showed who and what you are when you got all this power and this money and this platform. You didn't do shit with it except big up yourselves and your bullshit branding. And a man is shown by when his back is put against the wall, and you showed you never disappoint in that either to Castro and Long Island and all the rest of you. Give them power. They show they're selfish, self-centered, greedy, money-hungry, lying, grifting scum. Put their back against the wall. They show that they're double-talking, duplicitous, punked-out, cowardly bitches who ain't got no faith. Not a good showing, gentlemen. Why I'm the enemy in the non-truth community. Why I've been forced to play the bad guy in truth. Because again, you want to be selfish before we get selfless? I'm not going to let my legacy be this. I'm not going to be associated with you on record. I'm not going to let these cops and these courtroom associates and these people get to thinking that this is what an American is. Absolutely not. Call that whatever you want to call it. I call it true purpose and meaning, values and principles, and being unwavering as much as possible. Have I perfected it? Probably not. Are there times where my fear gets to me? Probably. Am I only a man and just human? Absolutely. This can't be about machismo and bravado. That's ego, pride, bullshit. But the facts remain the same. The track record shows who and what everybody is. Your choices on how to live between then and after the fact show who and what you are and what you really serve. Because your code, policy, statute following, grifting slaves who get millions of numbers and money online, but you don't live the truth and uphold the law and stand for rights. So we ain't equally yoked. Go ahead, Doc Savage is down there. I'm going to bring him in. I got to screen him. Then we got to wrap up here at some point. Time flies when you're doing whatever it is I'm doing here. I guess having fun my own way. Get it right. Can I hear from you? Can I see you? Doc Savage, can I hear from you? Can I see you?
Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Doc Savage, are you there, sir?
Check.
Can I see you, Doc Savage?
I don't know. I'm still in the studio, it looks like.
No, can I see you on camera? Can you put yourself on camera so I can look at you in the back?
Oh man, you don't want that. Trust me.
All right, I'll accept it. You're not going to do anything wild and crazy. I'll just edit it out if
no,
you do.
I've been on here before, bro. I didn't do nothing stupid. I mean, I got loud with what's his name, who was having a meltdown about.
Oh, that's you. Okay, yeah. I'm starting
yeah.
to get back to. I just had to feel your energy and hear you a little bit. And
I'm
Okay.
good, man. I just wanted to say, man, that give me the number of followers and subs that Chili has, and we're getting somewhere. Give you half the number that he gets, and we're really getting somewhere, man. But nobody wants to hear truth. They want to hear this conflated fiction that these people have brought to the attention.
Well, let's be clear about it. I'm already getting somewhere and got somewhere, if you want to put it that way. It's just they don't want to come.
No, I'm just saying we'd get.
It's that they don't want to come with me, and that's
right. I
okay.
don't know
That's
why.
their right. That's their choice.
It is, but it just goes to show how they're like parrots in a golden aviary, man, saying the same fucking words back and forth to each other. Ras, crime, statute, decision, SCOTUS, Terry versus Ohio. I'm so tired of hearing that shit, bro. Yeah, Terry versus Ohio is a huge fucking problem, but it exists inside of the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment trumps it. Our natural rights trump it. Nothing that those pimps in those black robes can say is ever going to make anything in the Constitution that's constitutional unconstitutional. It's impossible, But
You can't change a dynamic in consciousness with the same state of consciousness that created it. Is a very easy way of describing what we have going on here. So if you have immoral, faithless, corrupt scum on the whole of the public, well, don't expect your Constitution to undo the foundation of who and what we all are in consciousness at this time. So until we change our individual and collective state of consciousness, we're not going to change the effect of that state of consciousness, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I mean, it's to a lot of people, it's going to sound like sorcery, because it is kind of esoteric at a certain
magic.
level.
There's magic going on here, if you want to call it that. Magic and miracle.
Yeah, but it's not right. Exactly. What does the Bible and God say about miracles or mysteries? There are no mysteries. There's no mystery about what we're talking about. This isn't something that we have to go in a cave and light candles and burn incense to learn how to do. It's all very simple. It's all about truth, way, and life. And nothing bad can ever come from those three things. They are intrinsically nothing but good. But the opposite of those things are what we're up against. We're up against lies, aimlessness, and death. That's what we're up against. These people, they just don't understand that. Truth, way, and life. That's
well, look at it right here. Life. We just had the word miracle, and we never do this. Break up the word miracle and look at what the actual two words are. Mira, like in Spanish, would be to look or to see. Mira.
Yep. Right.
Right. And clay, C-L-E, as an etymological word, comes from the Latin, originally designated diminutive nouns, basically correlating to the masculine and the feminine. So the word miracle, when you break it up, actually means to see clearly the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah. It's
hello.
It's discernment is
inherent hierarchical power and value systems. It's right there in the word miracle. You can't generate miracles until you accurately see and come to the comprehension of the masculine and feminine duality of this creation and the archetypal, and reconcile that and become holistic. Makes sense to me. Right. I don't know if it makes sense to everyone else here. It should, I would think.
It does make sense, but my little plumber's pea brain has to think about it for a few minutes to get it right. I'm real good with solder and nuts and bolts and stuff, but when we start talking about what you're talking about, I mean, on a ground level basis, I get it. I get it. There's, we're either self-determined or we're not. And self-determination means that you have to recognize in us something beyond us, but still is within us. And that's what you're talking about. It's what we are, but it's also outside of us. Kind of strange to think about it that way, but, like I said, I got a plumber's brain, dude. My deep thoughts involve what kind of glue I'm going to use.
Right.
So,
What's up, Knobs?
Hey, I haven't seen you I've seen you. You haven't seen me for a while. I just wanted to appreciate you and thank you for all your great service.
Well, thank you, sir. I was thinking about you the other day, what you're up to building up.
I've been watching, waiting, enjoying, not hating. I'm just really busy, and I haven't been really much of anywhere, but I'm always watching. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, sir.
And as far as that land project goes, whenever that goes, give me a call.
All right. Yeah, I was entertaining that. I want to see what you can do at some point. Because if you're going to offer your services to me, why wouldn't I use you like everyone else uses everyone here?
Absolutely. Well, see, that wouldn't be using me. That would be utilizing me.
Right.
Yes. The difference is voluntary versus non-voluntary.
Right.
Slavery versus volunteering, Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. I got to get back to mowing, but I just wanted to jump up and get my rocks off and let everybody know that I'm still alive. Just notice me.
Well, we notice you. We love you, Nubs, for your own way, or in the Nubsy way. You should try to do this broadcast in the vertical short side of YouTube. I believe you will get more exposure that way. I don't know what that means. You want me to do a broadcast in 30-second shorts?
No, that's true. That's true. Let me. If you do the vertical stream, hold on. Let me just let you know something. On the vertical stream, YouTube is pushing it. I've heard, like TikTok and TikTok lives. You'll get a shit ton of views, and maybe I like this format better because you can play clips and everything. But the vertical or the portrait mode is definitely where it's at on YouTube with live streams right now.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They gave me an option recently where I can do vertical stream rather than really. That somehow is going to change. It's amazing what these people come up with.
It would be like you back to doing it
on their slab phone, and they can't turn it this way. They're so slovenly and slaved out. They got ADHD wrist where they can't turn it, so they just click off. It has to be. I have to stream vertically so they can be right there with the. Okay, I might have to try that. Nobs, can you put your email in chat, please? Because I think Spear Talk. I just jogged my memory. Emailed me earlier looking for your contact info. So you guys are here every day, right? No one should have to come to me for that. I'm not mad about it. Feel free to do it if you need to, but you guys are here every day. We come here every day. We do fellowship. There's a whole non-unity down there. So feel free to link with each other, put your emails down. Don't worry. No one's looking for you. No one's coming for you. Share freely information and interactions and report on it, right? Come back here at some point and give me all the content I need to embarrass you and abuse you and reveal universal dynamics in a public forum, right? I always love the report later.
I've got some great content for that in the back.
Who's that? Is that? Oh, that's Douglas.
You got some? Yeah, I got a little bit of that interaction yesterday. It's only a little bit because I didn't blast him with the camera. I could tell when I was making the situation escalate, so I took it down a few times. But I don't know. You get the summary of what happened. I can fill in the blanks.
New York are currently suspended.
I have a right to travel.
Okay. That's debatable. Okay. Your operating privileges in the state of New York are currently suspended.
You're arresting me?
You're going to get a ticket, which is a misdemeanor.
Okay.
Okay. It's going to be a mandatory court appearance in state court.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you, someone come get this vehicle. I'm not allowed to let someone drive with a suspended license.
Okay. Yes, I can have.
Can you call somebody to come get you? That's what I'm asking.
So. I was just placed under arrest. I'm told not to drive. No.
You look like Taylor Taranto when he was looking for those tunnels. Really scared and confused.
Dude, I was stressed out before this. I knew I could have an interaction.
Apparently, I got a misdemeanor now. Whatever that means.
All right, so you're. Apparently, he just said and did two different things. He just said, "You're not driving with a license. You can't do that, but you're not getting charged for that." And then just someone come take the car. They know it's bullshit at this point. They don't want to do it any longer. Most of them. They know it's nonsense and bullshit. They've been given the court rulings that they can't actually tell anyone what to do. It's all advisory code. It's not compulsory, especially if you don't have the damn contracts and you're rebutting the presumptions. Just we're in such a gray area limbo at this point. And it's like, it's just going to take more of us to keep standing on this, not give a fuck where it goes, keep repeating like they do and saying, we have a right to move our property around. It's been ruled on. Whether it has been ruled on or not, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you what my law is for my society. I'm not a suit-wearing legal boy. So in my world, in my society, how I live, whether you like that or not, I buy property, I move it and do what I want with it. And you're not going to claim the road underneath me is owned by the government. The government's a non-living entity. It's a collection of men and women doing service. They can't own anything. So let's cut the crap. The roads are built by the people. They're all invested in by the people, which means they're either owned or in trust for the people. That means the people will take their fucking property wherever the fuck they want unless they're causing harm or owe a debt. That's it. We're not going to do pre-crime. We're not going to do advisory code as compulsory. We're not going to make every man and woman get 3 pieces of paperwork and ID and pay them to use the roads that we fucking built and invest in. Absolute insanity. But it's just another day in inversion land. Fascist inversion land. Lewis, your thoughts?
Why are you getting up so bad on Chili? Come on, man. Chili's such a nice guy.
He is a nice boy. You're right. He's a nice boy.
He has red glasses on.
Yeah.
Why? Why you gotta be mean? You're so fucking mean.
I'm a mean guy. I never claimed to be a nice guy.
Truth hurts.
Sometimes.
I'm a selfish motherfucker. That's it. I'm a selfish motherfucker. If I'm going to do this and I have to do this, that means everyone has to do it. And if you're going to bullshit me and everyone else with what we all know, well then I'm going to curse you out and call you a bitch. I'm a selfish motherfucker. There's no other way to see it.
And why are you so mean to Wizard? Wizard's like amazing. He knows all the laws.
I know. There's all the acts and codes and policies.
He can teach you a thing or two. Come on.
Yeah, he can teach me how to do 93 cases and not learn a motherfucking thing. And then admit to me that after 3 cases, I know and learn and apply and get more results than him. I know. But he wants to call me son. Son. Okay, we'll play that game.
Mr. Lantow, Mr. Lantow, Mr. Lantow. How you doing, Mr. Lantow, Mr. Lantow, Mr. Lantow?
I'm doing well. I saw you present on Bryan's channel. I thought you did a really good job.
You did do a good job over there, Lewis. I forgot about that.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't know. I get nervous. I get nervous and I forget what I want to say. That's my only problem.
No, you did. You held it down. You held it down for the land of Unslavia. Not that I'm capable of speaking on behalf of Unslavia, but I thought you did this audience proud, and you did Paul proud too, and me.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lantow, Mr. Lantow, Mr. Lantow. Thank you very much.
All right, we might have to wrap up here. Did we? You know what? I keep meaning to show this. I'm going to show it again now, and then again tomorrow at the beginning, because I just love this. Turns out the retard shooter of the supposed Donald Trump's earlobe, it was in a BlackRock commercial. So not only is he a retarded person who obviously didn't do what they said he did, again, like always. If he did do it, they let him do it. We can get into that. And then we could just reconcile that, hey, the same people who just got into Bitcoin, now that it's going through the roof again, all-time highs, also did a commercial with the, coincidentally, retarded Trump shooter in the commercial. So let's go to that. Thomas Crooks, commercial boy.
Don't forget, when you're getting shot at, it's important for you to remember your shoes.
And let me leave.
Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say that guy made this place a
that's
special
slave.
place.
He was
to
the
come
slave who
to
did it.
and
Did it all.
Gave as much as he could to help the community.
The real slavery. Invested in the armed forces.
This is the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks. The ad is from 2023.
Little
What in the world is going on? Leave a comment
The
below.
world's going on. You guys are getting psyoped and getting gamed and pimped again. What do you think? What do you think's going on?
Yeah,
Same thing they just did for the last 4 years, and are going to continue to do. Next one's bird flu. Slaves are going to get pimped and hoed on. That's what's going to happen.
Turkey flu.
Turkey flu. All right, give me the final word. I think I'm feeling complete, as Mr. Talcott would say, for the time being. I also had a Bryan O'Shea interaction with me and him and the cop from about a month ago. I'm going to replay that. But I may save that for tomorrow. Where is Bryan O'Shea? He just kind of took off and kind of went poof. Earlier today.
Bryan is exploring his bi side.
Now, I happen to know that that's absolutely not true because there's not a man or a woman on this land that would fuck him. So I know you're lying. Just off of that piece of evidence, first and foremost. I'm kidding. Bryan O'Shea's a very nice man.
Well, he said it. I didn't make this up myself. He said he's bi-curious. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I'm bi-curious too, as in I'm curious to say goodbye to you. So let's go ahead and give the final word. 'Cause I'm bi-curious. I'm curious to see what's in the fridge as well after I say bye.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
All right, love you guys. Take it easy.
Thank you, Lewis.
Yeah, there's a man with dirty hands. He works for a living. God damn it. I'm curious.
He's got a dirty ass too. That has nothing to do with working.
I'm curious about biplanes. That's what I'm curious about. Biplanes.
All right.
Thanks, man. Every time I come on here, I hear something that I need to hear, and that means that you're doing what you're meant to be doing. If even just one person hears it and gets it, you're winning. That's how I see it. All right, you guys.
Now, do you want to I know maybe you won't contribute or support in the form of gift or contribution, but if I was to make up a quad fold, would you buy that from me? If I profited 3 times whatever it costs to make it, because I've been told that the average slave, even if they wanted to contribute and support to someone like me, they come here every day. They go, we like what you do, but we're never going to give you anything. But if I was to make a quad fold, they would immediately, because it's something about this culture. They won't contribute or gift or donate to support what they say they like or get value from. But if you just make up some ridiculous crap, right, some trinket, and you put it out there, everyone buys it. Right?
Well,
Is that true, or how does that work?
I would suggest that you go with a bifold instead of a quad fold, okay?
Like how Lou is going to have a bypass, right? He's bi-curious because he's going to have a heart attack soon, eating all that fat and meat that he eats.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Doc Savage.
Look, if I had the dough, if I had discretionary dough, I would contribute something. At the moment, I'm fucking flush, man. I'm flush.
It's okay. I have everything I need and then some. I'm blessed at this time. I'm thankful and grateful to the contributors and supporters, and I'm not willing to sell my soul by coming up with some crap to push on you and sell you. So having you here is an honor. It's valuable enough for me.
If we could come together and make a board game that was fun, had a point, and was actually good to play, why not, man? Why not?
Sir, I already told you. I would get on it, but they've already made at least 2 board games that describe the average slave's life who comes here. One of them is Trouble. The other one is Sorry. So, I'd only be tripling down on what Mattel has already perfected, right? And there's shoots and ladders, right? You can either go up with me to heaven or you can shoot down to hell with the Castro. So we already have 3 board games that accurately describe what's going on here. So maybe I'll amalgamate all 3 and make my own stolen, non-stolen board game.
With like an operation vignette where you go
right.
Right. Yeah, why not, right?
Okay, yeah, like a board game where it's the body laying there, and then the whole purpose of the game is to try to convince the slave to take injections and pills and shit. Like it's like the new doctor. like they used to have Operation. We do Dr. Fauci game, where the whole point of the game is to convince the players to take poisonous medications and drugs with side effects and then claim that it's beneficial. It's fun sometimes, depending on your...
That game is already that game already exists. It's called Advertisement. It's called
Right.
Ad Man. Yeah,
Called Medicaid.
Right,
You're
yeah,
right.
exactly. Oh,
We already
we don't
did
want
that.
you guys using drugs. We don't want you smoking pot or eating mushrooms or peyote or smoking salvia or whatever. But here, take all these poisonous pharmaceuticals that'll
Right.
will make you want to kill yourself and kill the people around you, give you liver failure and brain damage and renal problems.
And that's the thing. I want to do that already anyway, so I have no business taking any of that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. But if it's something that comes from a doctor's hand, he gives you a permission slip to take it, and you trade your socialist participation coupons for the dope. It's okay. It's okay. But it's not okay if you grow it in your backyard and smoke it or eat it or whatever. And it's not okay because we can't control it. All right, man. Listen, kick me out. You guys have a good day, and I'll see you around. Thanks a lot.
Get the fuck out of here, you son of a bitch. He was talking way too long. This place is about me. All right? Like Jack Talcott show. He has his show. I have my show. There it's about him. Here it's about me. Let's not drift too far from that subject. Go ahead. Final words, gentlemen. Use that term loosely.
I'll go next if that's all right. Blingo cards. I'm dead serious about the Blingo cards. That's what we got to incorporate for a game. Maybe sell them for $1 a piece. Everybody can come in here. They can play their game. The Blingo, kind of like Artie's Corporate Fiction, but we'll have Mandy knows how to do this. Mandy's already said she wants to work for our channels, or my channel at least. So Mandy, you want to work for my channel? Just set Paul up with the Blingo cards where we can do, like rights, freedom. We'll make a game of it. We'll make fun of ourselves. You can make fun of me. Like,
No, we got it. This
But-
guy just stumbled upon it. It's like Monopoly, but the whole premise is you go around the board in one of two jurisdictions, and then you have to pick from one card or the other. So, like, if you're in common law jurisdiction, you get to pick Paul Unslaved as your little character. And then there's statute, policy, and code jurisdiction. You get to pick the guy with the red glasses who minces and says, I'm an alpha. So you get to
And you always
choose
go
one
to
or two
jail.
characters.
Yeah,
That's it.
You always
Every
go to
card
jail.
says
There's
go to
no
jail.
no get out of jail free card either. It's, that
go to
that
jail
card
and
costs
pay.
me 10,000. That's 10 G's for that bitch.
That's genius. That's genius. You have community chest and the other one. And depending on the jurisdiction around the board, you pick from that pile. One pile always says go to jail and pay. One says get out of jail free. It's the best game ever. It's even like takes after the loop of creation. It's fucking amazing. I like that. Slaveopoly, right?
Slaveopoly. But those were my final words for whatever it's worth.
Get the fuck out of here. Get out. That was a great idea, but fuck you. All right? This is the court of Unslavia. I make judgments all day, every day here. I'll do whatever I want with you people. You're in my jurisdiction. Did everyone sign the paperwork before they came in here, Debbie? All right, I got them. They did it. Go ahead, Mr. Hefe. Get right. Give me some final words here before I insult you and throw you out.
I appreciate you having me on the panel.
Usual fashion.
It's been a great fellowship here. I'm sure we'll be in further discussion.
Absolutely. This guy's very calm and peaceful. He seems to have a good heart. Hopefully he can grin and bear it when it comes to tests and challenges. If so, we're going to work together. He yields to me, lets me act like an insane person here, screaming, yell, ramble, doesn't even get offended. This guy's amazing. This guy's an amazing man, Hefe. Amazing family man. Amazing
I appreciate
brother.
that. Thank you.
Terrible brother of his. He's an amazing brother to his terrible brother who's horrible.
I haven't been
Pretty
so
decent on the
amazing
air.
lately. I don't talk to him anymore.
Oh, fuck him. He doesn't deserve you.
He doesn't.
You and I
He
know.
won't-
Ty and you. We're
Or
brothers
actually,
now.
he has changed. He's become who he is, more of who he is, and I have become more of who I am.
Right.
So that's the way it goes.
Sure, it's there. It's
All
a
right,
hit
I'm-
at parties, right? When you guys get together, you guys are a hell of a team. It's like Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, we had a really spirited discussion the last time we were at Thanksgiving. God. All right, buddy.
All right, we'll see you later, brother.
Yo, I don't know what to say, but dude, did you know you can go on X and just talk to Judge Joe Brown, dude? I talked to Judge Joe Brown the other day. He was the only one defending me. Yeah, I swear to God, dude.
You talk to some Pakistani man pretending to be
Yeah,
Judge Joe Brown. How much did he ask you to pay for after the conversation? That's how you know it's fake when Joe Brown asks you for a 20 spot.
No, dude, it's totally legit. The whole panel was against me. It was great. They're arguing for reparations. I was telling them to stop being bitches. He's the only one that like kind of took my side. It was great. Anyhow,
Hey, what the hell?
X is kind of fun, dude. I don't know. But
Yeah, that's a good idea. If folks would get way further if they didn't take me as seriously, but took the truth that I bring here at times seriously. We'll get along great. I'm not Wizard. I don't take myself too seriously, and you shouldn't either. It's just about the truth.
anyhow, I'll let you get out of here. But take care, man. Be well.
Thank you, sir.
Don't let them get
Appreciate
you upset. That's when I don't know, man. I was upset both the last 2 times I got pulled over was when I was sad. I gotta like keep my vibe up for real, and then they just leave me alone.
High vibe it.
High vibe it, bro. Take care.
That's it, Douglas. We appreciate you, sir. All right, everybody's getting the bug about them. They want to travel freely. They want to test the waters, right? They want to test the boundaries. What's their true faith here? What's their true power? What choices and abilities and rights do they have, right? So I would argue that's a good thing. It's good that we raise our youngsters to question authority, right? Question everything, including themselves. I could argue one of the biggest problems in the modern day is we've not done that. We've not raised ourselves and each other to question things and question authority. We just go along to get along and wonder why everything gets worse. So that's good to see. It's good to see that I'm inspiring and empowering people in their own way to a coming of age story, actualization or realization. I'm really only here to do that. That's all I really have. Presuming even you believe that I have that. So you have to make that decision. Like I said, don't take me so seriously at times. Take the truth seriously. And even have fun with that, right? I could take the truth seriously and also at times have to just throw my hands in the air and say, hey, yo. No, wait, that's not how that goes. Throw your hands in the air and surrender. You know, take this truth seriously. We could walk it. We could become it. But it's not for everybody, right? We can't force it. So we got to let it be, as the song used to go. So I'm out of here, folks. Mazel from out west. We'll be back tomorrow, as always, 7 days a week, because I'm an insane person and I loop daily. And it's a good thing that the audience is here, because if not, they'd have put me away already for yelling and screaming in my own living room about rights, freedom, and principles, spiritual faith, being overweight and on drugs because I used the marijuana. It's a sad story. We'll talk about it later. Say goodnight to the bad guy. I'm out of here. Paul Discontent on your way out. Don't let the door hit you, people. Go get something done with your life, seriously. What's so odd about this is I look at the narratives and I go, I either really am what they say, narcissistic and egotistical, and I'm like sniffing my own product, or everything they say about them is true for me, but they'll call me crazy while saying it's true for them. It's why I'm hollering and losing my mind on this broadcast. So I'm a regular guy on the ground doing what's necessary while the rest of you are duped out of your power and position and choice, following these tards and these psyops. Only you slaves can prevent slavery. Don't look for it the same places you keep losing it. God, you know what it's like to push this boulder up this hill and to have some kind of faith that people will wake up from their slavery and stop the insanity and the nonsense over and over again, then have to watch them do it again? Did I say it slow enough for him? Did I say it enough times this week and this month and this year to finally fucking penetrate the thick ape-like skull of these slaves? Are we ever going to get there to actually do something different, to get something different and deal with the consequences and sacrifices? Yeah, we're the reason, right? Those of us over here, see the ragtag crew over here that'll get no credit. Once again, God using the least among us to do the most, while the ones saying they're doing the most are doing the least. They're doing the most when it comes to staging shit and pretending. Boy, is it great. We're having fun with that. But like actually day to day on the ground, making change, you're not. You're not. Quite the opposite. And once again, I'm going to have to go through slavery and genocide and psyops again, like I have many times before, at the whim of you duped out, pathetic, cowardly slaves. So I'm cool with it. If I have to go through it and experience it and can see, well, then I'm going to bring it to your fucking table and mock you and humiliate you and do all the things you begged for, just like you do from your masters. I'm going to give it to you from the other side because I'm one of them, right? So I can speak on it. You know, if you don't like it, it's because you don't like yourself and having a mirror hold up to look at who and what you are.
God of all media.